England fans and with Denley were like watching every single thing he did or was doing. And can you really work on your game when you're under that kind of pressure? Some thrive on it. And I guess that's what separates the greats in Test match cricket from the also-rans. They thrive on that and say, no, damn you, I'm going to show you I can get through this.
I mean, he's quite an introspective cricketer, I think. He's not, he doesn't show a lot of emotion and probably very self-contained in that he keeps it all to himself, doesn't he? So we just don't know what's going on, inside his mind at the moment with these dismissals and the fact that he's not able to go on. So yeah, I think it would be probably kind to him and certainly beneficial to the team now to give someone else a go. I mean, I hope that West Indies don't get locked into picking from the 15. What's the point of having all these players here if you don't pick from all of them? What's going to produce the best side for the third Test match rather than being caught up in, he's not in the 15, whatever. They made an exception for Gabriel. They're not obliged to have a squad of a certain size. I thought maybe they were obliged to do that by the ECB, but they're not, so just, choose from the batting that's available. And you'd have to say, the guy that you interviewed, Josh De Silva, it's got to be thought about as someone who's scored a lot of runs on this tour and knows the conditions in this country. Yeah, inexperienced, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah,
Bonner is the other option, is he, David?
Yeah, so that's what I think. That's what I'm expecting to happen. I think if fair's being fair, Holt gets a drop and Bonner comes in.
Yeah.
Campbell gets a drop and Holt goes to open and Bonner comes in. If fair's being fair, Bonner deserves a chance. But I think what will affect the West Indies in the third Test is their attack looks like they're on their last legs.
Well, again, you've got so many potential replacements here. Okay, sticking to the 15, you've got Shamar Holder, who I'd love to see. You've got Ray Reef, a lot of experience of English conditions.
And funny enough, David, I'd bring Ray Reef for him for the next. I was going to mention that at the end of the Test, but I think look at the Curran and look at the Wolves. You're back at Old Trafford again.
Yeah.
Isn't it aid for someone like Raymond Reefer to go and play?
Yeah, absolutely. Already taken a fifer, didn't he, in the warm-up? So, and he's in great form. I know, I rate him very highly. Absolutely would have been a really good pick. Bear, how's your stakes looking at the moment? You're up on the day significantly, aren't you?
Well, not that significantly because the unders and overs on wickets, they only ever offer you a bloody 6 to 5 on.
But that 13 to 8 you took against England, you must be thinking that's handy now.
Well, it's looking quite handy now. But as Mash was saying, they're doing pretty much what I said they could do.
Yes.
That was Jermaine Black. That was Jermaine Blackwood out.
Blackwood who was out.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that will make a difference. 2 more wickets and you're through. You've got to get through. Holdo's been batting quite poorly, to be fair.
Yes.
In this series so far, but captain's might be his thing. Dowrich had a good last Test. He didn't have a great first innings here, did he? See what he can do.
Isn't it great that yet again we've got another thrilling last session of a 5-day Test match? I know we've lost some time. Well, that's the whole point of having 5 days, isn't it? You can lose time and not lose not ruin the match.
You can do.
Now got a great session.
But England will rue it if they don't get it. They'll say, "Well, we lost a day of rain. Look what happened. All we needed was an extra, hour, and it'd have been done." I mean, if this had been going on, if this had been day 4, and there was still tomorrow left, England would still be batting, and they'd put on 500 by mid-afternoon, and they'd have 4.5 sessions to bowl out in the West Indies, which you'd say they probably absolutely would do. So it does make a difference in terms of the result of the game, but it does make it interesting at the same time.
Yeah, that's why you have the 5 days, because if the weather does intervene, it doesn't ruin the match. And all credit to the way England came out this morning and added those runs as quickly as Ben Stokes did. It's all set up for Stokes to have another spell with Broad, isn't it? And I think you got it right this morning, Bear, when you said if Blackwood's in for a while, he'll play his shots and they'll get. But I think stand by what we were saying that the victory target is just is irrelevant.
It certainly is now.
it's all about saving the game, and I think West Indies have had that objective of drawing this match since the toss. You know, it's you go 1-0 up away from home. With your football hat on, Mash, you put 10 players behind the ball, don't you? You've gone 1-0 up away from home. You've got a poor away record. You defend that, especially if it's a trophy at the end of it.
I guess you say, we're defending the trophy, so we go 1-0 up, and they thought, well, hey, we're in gravy here. All we got to do, we can afford to lose one of the next 2 games. We can't afford to lose 2.
Yeah.
So
I think that's right. You know, I'd love to have seen West Indies bat first, and and take a bit more enterprising team selection as well. But that was the plan, and now it's all about the great escape, isn't it? It's can they bat through these last 43 runs, park the bus.
43 overs. 43 overs is a long time, you know.
Yeah. Very long time. But if they keep Dom Bess in the attack, then I'm convinced West Indies can pull it off.
He's yeah. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with Dom Bess.
If I was an England fan, I wouldn't want him to bowl again.
Yeah, I mean,
Bear,
without sparing your blushes, Bear, you're a purveyor of the craft of slow bowling. Give us your assessment of the bowling of Dom Bess.
I think it's tough being an off spinner for a start against a whole bunch of right-handers. I mean, unless you bowl around the wicket and it's a prodigious spin, you can't bowl at the stumps for a start. So you're taking out certain ways of getting people out. And then for me, his length isn't consistent. He bowls too flat. He doesn't get it up and down quick enough. It's not easy to do. Let's be honest. To get a good amount of flight and be able to get it down with revs on the ball is the art of the spinner, basically. For me, he bowls a little bit too flat, and therefore he's always striving to either get it a little bit too further up, in which case he gets too far up, and it's too flat, in which case it's drivable, or he drops it in short quite a lot. The pitch hasn't been as helpful as people thought. I think if it had turned more, especially off the pitch, I think, with Sammy Curran going over the wicket, and certainly some of the bowlers coming around the wicket, you thought there'd have been more rough and it would have turned more prodigious. There is a bit of balance there.
I tell you, Bear, I'm not blowing smoke up your arse, mate, but I'd like to see you on at the Brown Statham end. I think you'd have sorted that out for us today.
Oh, I don't know about that, Dave, but
well, look, I'm going to hand over to thanks to John, thanks to Mash. Now I think John's staying on, and you're staying on, Bear. Tony's going to take us through the start of this next session.
Well, yeah, we're waiting for Tony. He's going to be here any minute now. He seems to be the art of the late arrival, does our Tone. Some of you will see a double picture of me at the moment because he's not here. What are your thoughts, John? Sorry.
Well, I was going to say I'm being dug at on social media. You won't be surprised to hear. Just a couple of messages from the end of that session. Anna Forsyth said, "What a catch by Butler! Never mind being picked for the next test. Give the man a knighthood."
Well, only if we get the result required.
But I'm not sure about that. And Colin Rosenthal said, "Obviously, time to apologise for calling England's brain dead tactics brain dead." Because I said that I thought we were bowling dross, but to be honest, I'm fairly unrepentant because I think we were bowling negatively, and I think 3 balls before tea. If you're Blackwood, you've been leaving the ball. Carry on leaving the ball. Don't play a brain dead shot.
Yeah, that's true. But isn't that the strategy? Isn't it? Wear them out, and eventually you get a bit of a brain fade. I mean, that's the nature of it, isn't it? Hello, finally, Tone.
I was on, and then I disappeared, and then I got confused messages, and I had actually had us going on in the background on the speaker, which was confusing me. So I had different time scales. But I'm very much here.
But my contention, Bear and Tony, is if you're bowling in that way, you're basically just saying, unless the guy makes a mistake, we're not going to get a wicket.
There's a little bit of that, but I think they thought that the wicket is dead and it's not doing anything. We've got to try something to get a wicket, and eventually they did, I suppose. Or Stokes is going to.
Stokes is going to be trying, and he's in around the wicket to the right-hander, and it's pushed away into the onside, and there is no run.
Should we have some little jingles after dinner? Lunch, tea, even?
After dinner?
This man's
after dinner
bowling.
Jingles.
Ben Stokes.
some houses, it's brandy and cigars in the home of the Bear. It's it's Ben Stokes at the moment, and again, it's nicely played by Dowrich, dropping the bat on that, no run. Yes, some houses it's brandy and cigars. Here it's after dinner jingles, apparently.
Well, yeah.
137 for 5. I am, of course, here with the Bear. The equation is simple. England need 5 wickets. The West Indies need 312, but they've got 137 of them, so they've got, about 170 something still needed. General feeling tends to be that that's not really in the equation. But you do just wonder, if they were to be within 50 and they've still got 5 wickets in hand, that equation might still just shift.
Well, it might well do. They might think, let's go for it. But it could precipitate the attack, so maybe, as Masha said, they're ahead. Let's give Wokesy.
Indeed, Chris Wokes
has got a jingle that goes a bit like this.
He's on Instagram, and he's a Twitter fan. On the Ashes tour, not Ben Stokes, but he'll have to do.
And he is bowling too.
Just the 2 slips are there keeping Josh Butler company. This is worked comfortably enough to square leg, take a quick single.
And we should have the jingle for the new batsman who's facing up now.
She and Dowrich.
Yes, indeed, Shane Dowrich. Of course, he didn't make any runs in the first innings, so he's on a pair. He's faced 2 balls, but he's still on that pair. He's doing a fairly studious spot of gardening.
What I wouldn't give for a pair.
The extra slip in place.
Oh, that's got to be out!
And that's big shout from Wokes.
Boom.
It's given immediately. The Bear gave it even before the umpire did. Dowrich is looking back. I think, Bear, to me, there's not even a point in a review there.
No. He's gone right across his stumps. Unless he's hit that, he is absolutely bang in front. He might have got a little inside edge because he's reviewed it straight away. So it is, in fact, one of these.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
Richard Polly put the kettle on, is our 3rd umpire of the day. Was there an inside edge? No. He looked right back on his stumps. So the ball bounced off his front leg, but he was going right back.
He's a short man as well.
He's not the tallest. Pitching outside, impact in line, wickets umpire's call. The umpire had already signalled him as out, and I'm afraid them's the breaks. Shane Dowrich, it is a pair. He'll have to go. England have that crucial breakthrough. Mash's bags has got more holes on it than a piece of Dutch cheese, but he's supposedly putting the match in. And
well, he didn't say whose bag it was, though. Anyway, it's one of these.
So get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah.
You have to feel for him a little bit after the glories of the double tons at match-winning double tons at Headingley. Not much seems to have really gone right for poor Shane Dowrich, and it certainly hasn't gone right in this game. He's got himself a pair. England have their 6th wicket. They scent blood, but there is a very large, in every sense of the word, obstacle making its way, I suspect, to the crease. And when there is the West Indies skipper Jason Holder, there is definitely hope. Any social media messages?
Well, there isn't hope, Tony. He's out. But
not that particular hope. No.
Sorry about that. Otto Sayman says the Windies can win this. 42.2 overs left, but that was of course before they just lost Dowrich, so now they only have 4 wickets in hand. Kath Bentley says he's ridiculous, but also a very, very special player. I'm sure that's in reference to Mr. Stokes.
Wokes was in, and that was well played. We're going to look at that dismissal again. Well, I guess when you look at it from sort of over Wokes' shoulder, I could see why they reviewed it. It was angled across him a little bit, wasn't it?
It was, but I think the umpire just thought he's gone right across the stumps and it's hit him. I can see leg stump here, you know.
It was being so far back in his crease that did him as Wokes is in, and that dips in and is whipped very wristily away. And that's going to go all the way for one of these.
2 + 2 is on my mind. 2 + 2 is on my mind.
Of course, the man into bat is this man.
West Indies Alexis never have been bolted. File marked captures with just an empty folder. In a perfect world, I'd have gone for someone older. Jason Holder.
That was Wokes' 110th wicket, by the way. So a moment to celebrate for him. It'll be a sweeter celebration if it ultimately leads England to a series levelling victory.
Not a bad overall average at 30, is it? I mean, he's got an average in...
Not at all. Many people would argue it's largely due to performances in this country, but kind of so what if it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Holders plays that nicely down, away past that slip cord, and Dom Bess, who didn't have the best of times. I don't think it's his match-winning day, unless something very dramatic happens in this last session. And they will have taken 2, I would imagine. We're looking at that dismissal from any number of different angles, but whichever way you look at it, he's still out. Brooks on strike, they took a single. Holder is on 5, and Shamaril Brooks is on 53. He's getting on for his century of balls face. He's on 97 balls face. Wokes has the 2 slips to him. And again, he plays that deep in his crease as well. Solidly enough, but had he missed that, he's as we were discussing earlier, well, he'd be an LBW candidate, but he's still there on 53, so he's managed to avoid it so far. 4 wickets to win for England, 41 overs left in the day today. West Indies are 143 for 6, and you do sense, Bear, that an awful lot hinges on this partnership that's at the crease right now, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to put England bang ahead now, wicket straight after tea anyway, with 41 overs remaining. We can get through this partnership any time soon, and you'd have to say the ship is more than likely sunk. I mean, what have you got? You've got Shannon Gabriel, Kemar Roach, and Alzari Joseph. Alzari didn't bat too badly.
Alzari did all right as night watchman.
He did, but it's a whole different ball game.
Ben Stokes is going to be continuing from the Statham end. Captain for 1 game, back to his role as vice-captain, but he's performed with fantastic distinction. Around the wicket he comes, that one gets a little low. Slid across Holder, who gives one of those sort of half shakes of the head, thoughtful, pensive. Had him, I wouldn't say foxed or confused, but it gave him something to think about. Kept very low too, I think.
Difficult to bounce Jason Holder, isn't it? With an old soft ball.
He's a big fella, and the battle of the 2 all-rounders, statistically the number 1 in the world. Although I don't know, I'm sure Knackle will tell us from the green room whether the results so far in this game, or the scores in this game, that's wide of Holder's leg stump through to Butler. Don't think that situation will have changed, although Stokes' performance with both bat and ball has been pretty impressive, and apparently they don't update them mid-game. So he is still very much the number 1 all-rounder in the world. And one of the features of this series has been the squaring up, albeit in a fairly gentlemanly and sportsmanlike way thus far, of Messrs Holder and Stokes, who once again are head-to-head at the moment. Stokes has turned at the top of his run. In he comes and he bounces Holder. You said not easy to bounce, and Holder ducked that sizable frame of his to let the ball go over his shoulder and into the gloves of Jos Buttler. 143 for 6.
Surely you give Brody a spell now after tea, don't you? After after Stokes has had a couple, and then keep him off until the new ball comes if it's required.
Well, yes, I think you do. But Stokes is the man for now. And again, he's trying to play that enforcer role. That's wide of the leg stump. And I don't think much has changed in as much as if you keep bowling short and wide down the leg side. I'm not sure Jason Holder will want to go for that. He did at Southampton, of course. Hold out, didn't he, to Jofra Archer off Ben Stokes. But I don't think he's going to do that here. It would be a major surprise.
It would be.
143 for 6. Stokes comes roaring in, and he's done it again. Is this a plan? Jason Holder gives him a look back down the track and goes, mate, you know, you can do that all day. I'm not even having to duck much. Keep them coming. So that's 2 bounces for the over as well. Perhaps Jason Holder was thinking, hang on, maybe that was a third. But it's 143 for 6. And I think Ben Stokes probably needs to have a think about, and I'm sure he is having a think about, what might he do differently with this last ball.
I think with a new batsman in, you want to get your slip cordon back in and you know, gerrymander around the off stump.
Gerrymander, did you say?
That's the wrong word I'm thinking.
Gerrymander, that's about houses for votes, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure what that's got to do with this particular game right here,
Nothing
now.
at all, I picked the wrong word.
In comes Stokes. And Holder again, solid as you like. Stokes, who's always in the game in some capacity, dives goalkeeper like to his right. Didn't probably need to. I don't think they had any intention of running. It's the end of the over, and we'll get some more of your messages.
Yeah, and Tando Sindani says, I'm following the game through live commentary via Gorilla Cricket. I can't watch because I have to be working in front of the laptop. Their commentary is splendid. 2 more wickets in England have got this in the back. Windies need to stay calm, he says. My messages have just disappeared. I'll get them back for
We'll
you.
let you re-find them. In the meantime, Chris Wokes, hirsute, coiffured, headbanded, and right up to his game at the moment, having taken that wicket, is going to continue. He'll be bowling his 13th over. He has Shamar Brooks in his sights. 2 slips go down. And again, Brooks, a bit Roston Chase-like, in as much as the fact that he just lets the ball come onto the bat. No huge amount of footwork, just sort of rocks forward and plays that into the offside. There's no run. Stokes, who's also got quite a full head of hair. Did I hear someone say earlier that, you know, as he had a transplant between the last 2 tests? I don't think he can have done. He wouldn't have been allowed out to do it.
It's a horizontal comb over, or vertical, whichever.
As up onto his toes again goes Brooks. What sort of Bobby Charlton, or do you remember Ralph Coates, who used to play for Tottenham?
No, but I do remember 70s comb overs.
Ralph Coates had even better comb over than Bobby Charlton did. I'd be interested to see if anyone remembers him. Apparently it wasn't between tests, it was last year, maybe the year before. Yeah, he was indeed a star of the Weave 11. You're absolutely right. Rather suits him. Obviously consider he looks more and more like Van Gogh. In comes Wokes, that gets Brooks into a right old tangle. And I'm not at all sure he laid bat on that. He certainly had his hand off the bat. He was looking to, I think he probably was quite relieved that there was no bat in contact with that, because he certainly wasn't in control. There's a ring of fielders on the offside. A point, cover, and mid off. And that one again is nicely played. 2 mid off. There's no run. 81 miles an hour. So Wokes not express pace, but he's been getting movement both a little in the air and certainly some off the pitch. It's not been straightforward for the West Indies, and the score indeed would suggest that. I think there's a combination of conditions and the pressure of the situation. But they've still got those crucial 4 wickets in hand. Wokes is in. Brooks is solid. Again, there is no run. Bear, what would you be doing now if you were Joe Root? Would you persist with Seam? Would you just give perhaps Bess another role? Would you bring yourself on?
Well, I'd bring myself on if I was playing.
I mean, would you bring yourself on if you were Joe Root?
Well, Joe Root does have a bit of a golden arm, so
He does.
it's not a bad try. I just don't think Bess looks particularly threatening. That's all.
No,
And
it's not
I think he gives the batsman a bit of a break, to be honest.
in
Yeah, I
comes
don't,
Wokes.
I don't think you need the word particularly in that sentence, but
No,
In comes
I was
Wokes and it's dropped into the offside. There's no run.
I was just being kind, John.
yeah, I'm not in the mood to be that really.
Well, you know, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy being a spinner in international cricket. I mean, to be fair, the wicket isn't. If it was turning and bouncing, that'd be a different ball game. But it also is very slow, and actually getting your length right on a slow pitch is a lot harder. Because you're bowling so much slower than the pace bowlers, slight errors in length can be punished very quickly. There's nothing. I used to hate bowling on a Saturday, and I just get what I thought was a good length for the pitch, and the guy's on his back foot, because then you're not drawing into a shot and all that kind of stuff, and all the ways that you're trying to get the guy out kind of rely on the fact that I'm trying to draw the man forward. I don't want him cutting me off the back foot. And I remember a particularly annoying man down at Dorking. No matter how full I bowled it, he just kept going back on the fucking stumps and just cut
Remember
me.
his name, the annoying
I
man. of
can't.
Dorking?
He was an old sort of wily fucker in the Surrey League, and he literally, I bowled it so full, and he'd be right back on his stumps, cutting me down to point, and it was just irritating. And there's nothing worse, and it doesn't help when the pitch is slow.
Great letters to have after your name as a more senior cricketer, an OWF, an old wily fucker. It is going to be Ben Stokes continuing. There is a fly slip. Although, I can't see that now, so I all of a sudden talk about the fly slip. Oh, there is a. No, there's not. There's a forward. Comes Holder pushed into the onside. Broad is there, and there's no run.
There's a leg slip, but I can't see a fly slip. Oh, there is a fly slip. Look, he's down there. There is a fly slip.
He is there. You're absolutely right. There is indeed a fly slip.
Don't often see that very often.
No, it's a well spotted.
That's
Hendo
Hendo.
in the green room. Yeah, it was. It was a very good spot indeed. In comes Stokes, and the considerable height of Holder worked to his advantage there, because he's able to get right on top of that and steer it around the corner, indeed towards that fly slip.
I mean, we don't like this tactic, possibly. Well, John certainly doesn't. Seems to think it's a waste. But Wagner does it quite successfully for New Zealand. And the problem with it is a lot of the time, they don't have to play it. It's just that one that you get right. You get 1 in 20 right.
So in comes
There.
Stokes.
Oh!
And again, well, it was going around the corner. Did it just drop short?
I'm not sure. It looked to
We're gonna
me
have a-
initially like it carried, but it could have been on the bounce.
I don't think it did. We'll have a look. Stokes drops it short, and it is just a fraction short of that man who's there for that very reason. And it was within an ace of being an absolute genius piece of fielding condition. Stokes in again around the wicket, and Holder this time, having learnt, I think, from that previous ball that that's best left alone. Smart man that he is, he's probably not going to make the same error twice, having probably just got away with one there. Well done, Joe Root, who's there in 2 caps. Whether 2 caps have made him twice as clever, but it would have been a fielding placement of absolute genius had it worked. So there's very clearly a plan to Holder to try and get him just nicking off around the corner, as it were. 143 for 6, Stokes in. Holder tall, straight, solid, and no run. 88 miles an hour. Last ball of the over. John, have you managed to find our various social
Yes, I
platforms?
have. So we need to do some catching up.
We do indeed, and we will do that, assuming there isn't anything terrifically exciting. We think Stokes may have had the leg slip in before tea as well. So it's a sort of a leg. Yeah, we were talking about kind of a bit of a leg side attack. As Stokes is in through Holder. Ooh, there's an R's everywhere. We have a new Patreon subscriber as well, Ben Suthers. Ben, thank you very much indeed. You are extraordinarily welcome, and we hope you enjoy your Patreon-ship. We're very glad to have you with us. John?
I will send you an email about your shirt size required.
Yeah, Anna Forsyth says 100 test wickets now for Wokes. Does this also mean that he comes under the making stuff happen moniker, which I think is something you were talking about earlier, guys? Nintendo Sindani says Shane Dowrich has been decent with the gloves, but terrible with the bat. If I had my way, I'd drop him for the next test. And Louis says, yeah, I agree, drop him. Brian Barish says, since Tony Bishop is back, I'm not sure how anyone, Americans or otherwise, can find this boring. England trying to capture 4 wickets, the Windies with their choice of trying to win or salvaging a draw, and both teams trying to manage the clock.
Well,
I didn't suggest it was boring, I suggested it was brainless, but there you are.
I think it's nothing to do with me, it's the state of the game, which is right on a knife edge, and Brooks plays that with a very solid face. No edges involved at all there.
Do you want to bring your mic up close to your mouth there, John?
Me or John?
John.
Mine's sort of where it's stuck on the end of my headphones.
I got told it was too close the other day, so I was trying to make it so that I was less loud.
Yeah, but if it's right down below your chin, it sounds very quiet.
143 for 6. Wokes has bowled 1 ball for his 14th over. 4 wickets, the target for England. 53. And plays that nicely, but there's a man at short mid-wicket who is there just to strangle the chance of a single, and does that extremely successfully.
Well, you've got to say Brooks looks comfy, doesn't he?
Well, he's played well, 53 off 106 balls, but as we've said, this is, well, every single partnership now is crucial. No one will come to the wicket where the partnership they're in is not crucial. When you're facing a team that needs 4 wickets to win. Nicely played again by Brooks. Right up on top of that. The ball just dribbles its way into the offside. And the target in terms of runs, for what it's worth, is 169, which in many games, you wouldn't consider unachievable. It's just, I think the psychology of this makes it so unlikely. It's much more about survival now for the West Indies, really, than thinking about the win. They are the ones one up in the series, remember?
Well, especially with your last recognised pair at the wicket, really.
Yep. So in comes Wokes. That's a bit leggy and dealt with accordingly. Just prodded away down to mid wicket, and there is a single taken. Holder will be back on strike. He's on 5. Brooks on 54. 144 for 6. We're looking at a very thoughtful Simmons who's staring out from behind glass. He looks very stern, probably because he does have a fair amount on his mind. I think West Indies would, of course, they would take a draw, and it would be a heroic one if they were to achieve it now, and a frustrating one if England were to let this slip through their fingers. Such a knife edge, such is life that these things are balanced on, and forward comes Holder. And couldn't have got more behind that if he tried. If he'd have put a great big brick wall up in front of Wokes, it could barely have been more effective. Played that very nicely indeed. 144 for 6. Woolly hat. Is it cold up there in Manchester today? I know it's been fairly leadenly skies, but I thought that's just Manchester. But the preponderance of woolly hats suggests that it might not be that warm either.
It's about 20 degrees. I imagine that's quite chilly if you live in the Caribbean.
Yeah. In comes Wokes over the wicket. That one doesn't get up. And in fact, Holder almost played for more bounce than was there, and sort of slightly adjusted his shot to sort of drop his bat onto it. He did that successfully. It's the end of the over, and we'll see who else has been in touch, John.
Yeah, Mike Millwood says, if the last test was a superb example of why 5-day test matches are a great thing, is this an example of how a 4-day test could be a great thing? Could be a great thing too. I'm only half on the wind up, he says. We might want to pick that up in a minute.
Sure.
Galaka says Dowrich seems to be having a tough time against pace. Nintendo Sindala says he's having a tough time generally. His body language has also not been okay. It appears like his mind is not even in the series. Some wickets, I swear, he's given away.
It's a bit harsh. I mean, he didn't do too bad in the second innings down at Southampton.
In comes Ben Stokes again around the wicket. Very solid indeed. Pushed back to the bowler. Very athletically, all in one sweep movement, fields the ball and is back to his mark without barely missing a heartbeat. He's a man who looks like he wants to get on with the job. All of England want him to get on with the job, which he's doing now from that Anderson end. And again, he's attacking that leg side, and it's easy enough for Brooks to duck out the way of Joe Root. 2 caps on his head, as is the way at the moment. It's one of the biosecure innovations that we've been getting used to, players literally wearing 2 hats. Dom Bess, shiner in chief. Apparently he sweats quite, I was going to say profusely, that sounds a bit unpleasant. He sweats a fair bit.
He's the sweatiest.
He is the sweatier in the sweater. Stokes in, short, and again. What do you think? Is this a valid tactic?
Well, it's definitely a valid tactic. Look, I understand everyone's frustration, and I agree. Watching it, I'm frustrated. But it is a valid tactic. You look at this is Wagner's role for New Zealand, and he's got a couple of fifers against us doing it. Eventually, it wears people down because you get fed up of ducking. It's not pleasant having a ball propelled at you at 80 miles an hour out on your head.
Stokes again around the wicket, and it's rinse and repeat. Didn't get up as much, and Brooks had to duck that little bit more, but there was still plenty of daylight between his helmet and shoulders and the ball. We are seeing Stuart Broad going through a few limbering up routines. Where are we on overs and new ball, I wonder? Let me see, 47, so we could have a new ball tonight if it was needed.
Yeah, we could have 5 overs of new ball, basically.
But England will be desperately hoping it doesn't come to that. The West Indies will consider themselves having done a good job if it does, particularly if they've only lost 1 or indeed no more wickets. Stokes in, Brooks forward. Stokes again, very quick to go over. We're going to have a change after.
I think we're getting
after the next over.
I think after the next over, yeah.
1 for 20 for Stokes. Brooks on 54, Holder on 5. 144 for 6 for West Indies. Real, proper, seat of the pants test match cricket as Stokes is in. Up onto his toes goes Brooks. England need to find another way, I think, here, because that's not doing it. It was easy enough to be played. So we wonder, might we see Stuart Broad, a man who so disgruntled, so upset in the first test to miss out, said he'd be on the money when he came back and proved his points with that fantastic spell, 3 for 7. And indeed, the hat's removed. Who's he going to hand it to, I wonder? Looks like it might be Sam Curran, or is he just taking off his hat to generally stroke that lustrous coiffure of his? Or is it because he wants to hand it to someone and get into the attack? No, it's going to be Wokes continuing. So that rather fooled us all. I think a drink might have been brought on and perhaps he had to remove his hat to consume that. Chris Wokes is going to continue. Bowling from that Statham end. 2 slips in place for him. Oh, and that was left by Holder, and there's that well-worn phrase, a well-judged leave. There's only 2 leaves, good ones and bad ones, and that was a good one, but by Jove, it was well-judged.
That nipped back a little bit, didn't it? Just off the
Well,
seam.
it did. It got that. Well, you can see the reaction of Stokes as he throws. Stokes, Wokes, and any folks watching, not obviously the wicket-keeping folks, will have thrown their heads back there. In comes Wokes, forward comes Holder, it's away to cover, there's no run. Holder turns, wanders around, composes his thoughts, takes himself out of the moment. I wonder what he's going through his head. Is he clearing his head for the next ball? That near miss he has to try and put that behind him, because that was a lick of paint from knocking back his off ball. Wokes in again, forward and solid comes Holder. Again turns and takes stock of the situation and himself, but he played that beautifully. 4 wickets needed for England. Patches of blue coming through that slate grey Manchester sky. But the longer England go without another wicket to their name, that sky will seem rather heavy and grey, even if the sunshine is starting to shine. In comes Wokes, forward comes Holder, and again there is no run. 80 miles an hour, 144 for 6. Yeah, you feel a change of gear is needed somehow right now, Bear, don't you? Do you have that sort of sense?
You do, but it's a bit difficult with the condition of the ball, isn't it? You're never going to get any zip, you're not going to get extravagant seam movement or anything in the air, unless you can rough up one side and get a bit of reverse, probably.
Well, I was going to say, is it perhaps a little too early?
Well, is that
down
part
go the
of
two
Stokes'
slip.
tactic?
Forward comes Holder, and again there is no run. Is that part of...
Well, it's a bit of a weird one if it is, because the problem is that Stokes is the best exponent of the reverse in-swinging, ducking in Yorker. If he's the guy roughing it up...
In which case, somebody should be doing it for him.
Yes.
So, Broad, maybe?
Well, we thought we were going to see some Broad, yeah.
We'll
we
see
shall
Broad
see.
shortly.
Wokes is the man, but he's bowling the last ball of his 15th over. 2 slips down, and a big old front foot comes forward from Holder. The bat is held aloft. The ball goes underneath it through to Butler, and it's the end of the over. And we're
going to have a
catch up
switcheroo
with messages, and we are, I think, also going to have a change of in the commentary
box.
box.
We are indeed. Dave B, Mash, and Knuckle is going to come in and take my place.
Let me run through a few messages before that, because we're quite a long way behind. Gary Naylor says, I made a Ralph Coates related pun on social media not half an hour ago relating to your comment about the former Tottenham man, and Paddy Briggs picks up and says thin on top, so Gary responded again and said we're combing over the wisecracks. Zahir E. Clark says Dowrich has had one bad test with a pair. He scored 61 and 20 in the first test, and that's the second highest average in the team over the last 2 years, so he's sticking up for him. Ravi, the heavy roller ready, says money on the West Indies to draw this match, Holder to play a holding role. And Viv Bartlett says, I mean, guerrilla cricket is just streets ahead of BBC TMS, now totally gripping. I'll leave you in the hands of the boys.
Wow, what a lovely message. 144 for 6. Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Tony. And Mash has come, and Knuckle has come to join me. Here's a jingle.
What would make Broad walk? If his stumps were knocked down. What would make Broad walk? Caught 5 feet off the ground. What would make Broad walk? If he trod on his stumps. What would make Broad walk? If God was one of the arms. What would make Broad walk? Broad walk. What? Broad!
Welcome, friends.
Stuart. Welcome, Knuckle and Mash alongside me. It's Broad, arms pumping, coming in to bowl to Brooks, who beats him outside the off stump. So immediate interest for Stuart Broad. Situations lined up for him, Knuckle, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's bowling beautifully. This interesting with the old ball yesterday. He also went doing like a Neil Wagner impersonation. I don't think he's going to do that this time around. Maybe Stokes has been able to rough up one side of the ball and there'll be a little bit of reverse. It's hard to tell whether one side of that ball is noticeably rougher or shinier than the other. I think the lush outfield probably isn't helping any reverse swing.
Brooks facing up again to Broad, and this time it's shorter, and Brooks is able to cover up, just play that down. So Brooks has played a decent innings here, but he needs to stay there for. Well, there's 35 more overs left in the game. Needs to stay there for
At
the majority
least.
of those, at least. You say?
Yeah, I mean, if England might.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. A minimum have to be bowled, but if England can get more in and they need to, they might.
Yep, indeed. Broad to Brooks down the leg side. He flicks that one round quite pleasantly. It's gone square. There's no one at square leg, so mid wicket has to go round, and they take a couple. So Brooks goes on to 56. I could say this is the most important innings from Mark Brooks has had to play yet in Test cricket.
Yeah, I mean he scored a match-winning 100 against Afghanistan. Obviously, it's certainly a more experienced class of opposition. I mean, I don't want to bag Afghanistan too highly. I mean, that was a very good innings, but yes, this would be huge to retain the Wisden Trophy.
Indeed. But I've looked outside. Bad light needs to stop play, to be honest.
Broad. I can barely see the other end of the pitch, and that's gone just wide of second slip, and it's going to get a boundary for this. It came off the edge, but it was angled down.
Yeah, yet again an edge not carrying anywhere near slip. But Holder took his hand off the bottom hand off the bat there to make sure, indeed, that it didn't. Sorry, yes, not Brooks.
I mean, the minimal foot movement from Brooks there, wasn't it? It was a nothing shot, but he kept it down. That's the main thing, and he's got 4 to his name. He moves on to 60. Skipper at the other end, Jason Holder's on 5. Broad to coming again to Brooks, who covers up and plays that one down. Yeah, no, I'm sure the innings against Afghanistan was, may have been a better innings, as it were, but surely this is the most important one, isn't it, that he's played so far? When there's Wisden Trophy at stake, who knows? Someone else could have come to the party against Afghanistan, but here he's the last recognised batsman with the skipper. He's got to bat through this, hasn't he?
One would think so. I think these two have got to bat probably 25, 30 overs.
Broad, and that's very solid from Brooks. Completes the over. He's on 60. Jason Holder's on 5. West Indies 150 for 6. Mashal, are we being communicated to in the social media world?
Yes, we are. I'm trying to see if this tweet is in response to something that's been on. There's a fine young man by the name of Mike Taylor has been showing off his beard that he's been shaving off in different ways whilst listening to Guru Cricket. Lots of comments on that. And Ravi says, what is the likelihood that Shai Hope drop for the next test? Does Rakeem Cornwall get a shot? I think at the wibbling at the end of the outcome of this test match, I'm sure that will be discussed as to what happens next for West Indies.
We might draw you out before then, Mash. Here comes Wokes, and that's played fluently by Holder, and it's misfielded by
Crawley.
Bess. That's Crawley, misfielded there, so it gets Holder off strike, and I don't think Wokes be terribly happy about that. I was sure he would have rather bowled to Holder, who's still relatively new at the crease. Holder's 5 from 24.
6
and,
now. 6 now with that single.
6 from 24.
Yeah, I think we're seeing with some of the ground fielding. We've seen run-out chances missed. We've seen some iffy ground fielding. I think we're seeing the ring rust of both of these teams.
Wokes and all that takes
no
off.
ring rust there.
Snorter takes off a length every so often. Wokes produces one of those, and Brooks either did well or wasn't good enough to touch it. I'm not sure which one it was.
I think you'd have to be a damn good player to get an edge on that. Forget that one. That's an absolute beauty from Wokes.
It was a Jaffa. I was just looking for my Jaffa cakes actually in the kitchen. Couldn't find any. That's why I was a bit late. Usually got a sort of secret
Dave, I've heard some
supply
excuses in my time.
Wokes, and that's driven an on drive, but it's only as far as Broad at mid on, and there is no run. Holder 6 and Brooks 60. So Wokes has had 2 for 34. The 2 wickets that Wokes got, he got Brathwaite, LBW, big wicket for 12, and then he got Dowrich for the pair, second 0, LBW as well. You've also got Chase LBW. Sorry, for the 1 caught behind, 1 bowl for 2 LBWs. Here he comes. Wokes bowls, and that is played out by Brooks, and there's no one. That's right. That didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, in the first innings, in the first innings, he got Roston Chase LBW for 51, and that was a massive wicket. Jason Holder caught at slip for 2. Shannon Gabriel bowled with a slower ball, having hit him in the testicles the couple of balls before. And in this innings, he's got Craig Brathwaite and Shane Dowrich LBW for 12 and 0 respectively. So he's been an important contributor, Chris Wokes, despite his golden duck and did not bat.
Now that's what I meant to say. He bowls the next ball, and Brooks covers up, and there is no run. Brooks looking solid. I don't like to tempt fate. Mash is looking like someone who's hardly looking at the screen at the moment. You're just ticking the. Have you still got that prison diary thing going on where you tick the overs off, Mash?
Listen, I'm not saying a whole lot because it's tense for me right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm not enjoying this. I've been postponing a dental appointment, but I'd rather be at the dentist now. Not enjoyable. I'll try and make it fun for everyone else. Wokes. And I can't think of anything funny to say about that. Brooks puts it out onto the cover point, and there's no run. Knackle. Mash, let's go to you back for some tweets. 151 for 6 West Indies.
So it looks like I should answer the question, because ever since Ravi raised the moot point of what happens for the next test, I'll quickly say the following. Rakeem Cornwall will definitely play, or should definitely play. I don't know who for yet, but he should definitely play.
Gabriel, surely.
I hope should be dropped. Gabriel looks like he can't move anymore. Alzari Joseph might also be an injury worry, so I would assume you're going to see the following in the 3rd test. Brock Bonner should debut. Cornwall should play, and even Chamar Holder may well get a play, but we don't know. I'm just saying that's the changes you might expect to see.
Well said. Here's Broad to begin a new over to the West Indies captain. Does that one go outside the off stump? Signs of Jason Holder's return to form. I'm going to come back onto that team in a moment, Mash. Come at the end of the over. But there's signs a little bit of Jason Holder beginning to get his touch. He timed the ball quite nicely.
The thing about Jason Holder is he's so imperturbable, it's very hard to tell what is going on with him most of the time. He doesn't look drastically different to when he wasn't facing many deliveries.
Stuart Broad, jumping away, bowls to Holder. I spoke too soon. That was the attempted stroke by Holder. He didn't make contact, and Broad has plenty of time to survey the residue of that with his hands on his hips. It's the teapot from Broad. Talking of tea and Jaffa cakes, Amelia reminds me that I've eaten all the Jaffa cakes. That's why there weren't any.
You didn't put the empties back in the box, did you?
I don't think there's any wrap. They weren't individually. They were individually wrapped. They might have been.
Oh no, they don't. That's right. My dad used to do that with after eights. Used to drive me nuts.
Well, it was nervous eating. It's just nervous eating. Broad, Holder, good leave from Holder. Gets us back well out of the way, and I'd say it's one of the better leaves that we've seen in the series.
It was certainly better than... Who was it who left one that was going to smash into the stumps earlier today? It was... Roston Chase, wasn't it? It was a good delivery, to be fair. That one came in a long way, but it wasn't a well-judged leave.
Bit of warming up going on from Sam Curran on the boundary. He's only had 4 overs in this innings. No wicket for 22. If memory serves me right, that's correct. He's Broad and Holder. Well, he played a defensive shot there and then rehearsed an even better one shortly after it. But the second one, the rehearsed shot, was more impressive than the actual shot. But they're both quite solid enough.
Yeah, that was. He had to play that really late because it just did a little bit of late movement. Holder sort of walking across his stumps, I guess, trying to cover off stump, and he got himself into. He's occasionally playing around his front pad, and that's a big front pad to play around. It's a very different approach to Jamal Brooks, who's attempting to stay leg side of the ball.
Broad, and that beats Holder against tentative prod. Also beats Butler, bounces into Butler's chest and down again. Jack Leach warming up on the boundary, but he's wearing a bib, so that must just be a bit of sort of yoga type stretching from Jack Leach. Well, that ball bounced actually in front of Butler in quite difficult ways that made it quite difficult to take. It kind of died and ended up bouncing just in front.
Yeah, I think both. It actually took an edge, but then died just before Butler.
Broad is going to have to get it even further up there than that, Bowles, and that is well directed and well played by Jason Holder. So 151 for 6 West Indies, with Holder on 6 and Brooks on 60.
In tweets, Brian Barish says Jaffa cakes, they sell them here in the States, except they're made by the Germans.
Oh. Except?
Well, high quality product then.
Yeah.
And Leah says, did you know that the term sideburns is a corruption of this man's name? He was called Ambrose Burnside. Beard.
Yeah, Ambrose Burnside was a Civil War general. He founded the National Rifle Association, though, so it's not an entirely positive legacy. We do have a change with Chris Wokes relieved of duty.
Is he a batter or bowler? Sam Curran. What's his distinguishing feature? Sam Curran. His stats from Zimbabwe. Sam Curran. And his beloved eyelids, yes. Sam Curran.
See if Sam Curran can get the old ball to move a bit. He does have a good cutter, and in fact there's 2 men catching short on the offside and 2 on the, well, certainly 1 on the leg side at mid-wicket, so maybe he will be bowling a lot of cutters.
32 overs remaining in the day at stroke 5 o'clock. Curran bowls his first ball, and that's played down by Brooks just back to the point. There's no run. Curran's only bowled 4 overs in this innings. He's had a total of 37 test wickets at an average of 31.7.
Yeah, much better in England. Averages around 20 in England. He got hit around by Jermaine Blackwood earlier when the ball wasn't swinging. Yeah, it's an interesting field. So we've got only the one slip, a backward point, but then we've got a short extra cover, and off Hayden, a sort of wide on Hayden. Even the square leg is almost in the catching position, then the mid-off and mid-on.
He bowls that to turn round the corner, and Butler collects. No contact made by Brooks, and there is no run.
I think Curran is going to be, if there is any swing, great. Maybe that one of those sides of the ball is a little bit shinier than the other, but it'll be mostly, I think, cutters bowling very straight and trying to force a loose drive.
Curran walking back to his mark, and he's got that very determined look on his face as he comes into bowl, and puts his very solidly behind that, and there is no run. Mash, I heard you talking about the potential England team for the next test. Your dream attack, I think you said, was Anderson, Broad and Archer. That's who you'd like to see?
Sorry,
it was Knackle who said that. I beg your pardon, Matt.
Yeah, I think that is England's best.
Hospital pass.
I think that is England's best pace attack. All of the things being equal. Obviously, we'll see how Broad pulls up after this game, but I don't imagine he'll be easy to drop again.
And Brooks reaches for that and strokes it pleasantly through the gap in the covers. There's a chase for Wokes. They take 2, and Brooks moves to 62. Yeah, sorry, that was you, I think I heard saying that earlier.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure Mash wants a recall for Darren Pattinson and Jimmy Ormond and Martin Bicknell, but
yeah, Mash, that'd be interesting. What's the worst team England can put out from West Indies' point of view? Who would West Indies like to see as the 3 seamers?
Yeah, we used to do a game at school where sometimes we would pick the opposition's team.
Yeah. Leave you to think about that, Mash, for a second. Curran outside the off stump, and Holder's going to leave that. Would Curran be in it, Mash? I don't want to put words into your mouth, but
yes, he would be.
You would retain Curran. Yeah.
I'd want Curran, Bess.
Retaining Bess.
Yes. And what's his name? Is it Ollie Robinson? Is he in the squad?
He is.
Ollie Robinson, I would like to point out, has the best first-class figures of any seamer in the world over the last 3 years.
Doesn't matter. This is Test cricket.
Yeah. Okay. You throw Robinson.
I want someone who's a novice.
Right. Okay.
Cricket.
Yeah.
You could also have Craig Overton.
Well, less said about him.
Curran and Brooks is behind there. Any changes to the batting, Mashal, for the England team? How would you weaken the batting?
Well, for all the noise that was made about Denley, I'd like to point out that Crawley got a duck and 11.
Right. So leave Crawley where he is. Leave Crawley where he is. Promote him to opening.
I don't think England. No, I don't.
Just unnecessary changes. To the batting order.
Sorry, unnecessary changes. Oh, in that case,
Joe Root going back to be an opener like he was a few years ago.
I was about to say, drop Dom Sibley and bring in Dunn or Denley to open or something like that.
Right, so you're dropping Sibley for slow scoring. You're bringing back Denley.
Yeah, Denley to open and taking out Stokes for anybody. I don't even care who, just anybody.
I'm going to put this out on Twitter. Let's ask England and West Indies fans to pick their opposition's worst possible 11 for the next game.
I'm going to put an emergency call out to Gary Balance. I don't think he's been given enough opportunities. Here's Broad and Holders defensive and there's no run. Yeah, let's get Balance in there at 3, Mash.
Yes, I liked Gary Balance.
I know, but he was a walking wicket last time in England. It's like, you did when you played Australia.
Yeah, he's like diminishing returns with each recall, despite the fact he is clearly far too good for the county championship. He's going to exist in that Ramprakash zone for the rest of his career.
Next ball from Broad is played defensively by Holder, and there's no run. Yeah, it's got his thinking there. I'm trying to think of people that you could bring back who had a really poor first stint in the team and never got picked again. Ben Duckett is an interesting call, yes.
Who's the one you really... Rajinder Chandrika.
Oh,
Chandrika for West Indies, yeah.
Worst player I've ever seen play for.
Here's Stuart Broad, and that's angled down by Jason Holt. He's running the first one fast. He wants to get some runs here. He's turning for the second, and it's gone all the way to the boundary.
So when was Rajendra Chandrika picked? The Guyanese, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 2016, so it was prior to the kind of this squad coming together as what they are today. I'm going to say it was 2016. Those who've got the stats go and remind me, but I've got a feeling it was 15 to 16, average 14.
Broad, that's well pitched up. It's driven quite nicely by Holders, showing signs of coming back to some sort of form. He drives it up the city, and there's no.
I like this field.
Right, England. I'm putting
out
an emergency.
Dave, can I just break in? There's an interesting field that again for Broad, they've got the short extra cover and the short mid wicket in place. Catches in front of square more than behind the wicket with this old ball and this quite unusually slow Old Trafford pitch.
Here's Broad. He's bowling to Holder, who's on 10, and Holder has a go at this. He's lucky not to play on. He gets an inside edge, and it goes down to the fine leg boundary for 4.
Oh, that didn't miss off stump by much. It just kept a little bit low.
Yeah, it was a slightly lazy shot. He played it away from his body without any noticeable foot movement, and it caught an under edge. It's one of those ones that could easily have chopped on, but as it is, gets 4 runs for it down to the NatWest boards at the top of the ground.
Holder's always had this sort of... It's difficult when your limbs are that long, I guess.
Yeah. He's going to bowl again to Broad is bowling again to Holder. This time he gets behind it, plays it out to the offside, and there's no run. And at the end of that over, Brooks is on 62, and West Indies 1-6.
Still 30 overs left, minimum.
Oh, let me get some tweets out rather than hear that number 30. Says, are German Jaffa cakes more durable?
Yeah.
Lots of debate still about who the West Indies should or should not play. Actually, that just reminds me, another thing that I want the Twitter to consider. Off the back of that Rajendra Chandrika comment I made about him being the worst player I've ever seen play Test cricket, I would like all Twitter followers to tweet him who's the player you thought, you know what, I can play Test cricket too, after you saw them play. Gwen says...
Sammy Cohen again, sorry to interrupt, Matt. Sammy Cohen bowls outside the off stump, and Brooks shoulders arms. Go on, Matt.
About that guy, was it Arthur Burnside? Gwen says, at the risk of being about it, he didn't found the NRA, though he was its first president. The NRA at the time was a sport shooting organisation. The aggressive advocacy stuff came a lot later, and he brought on the union.
Yeah, that's right. He was a union general, and yes, the NRA is now a gun manufacturer's lobby rather than a gun owner's lobby, but still.
Here is Brooks now to face up to Curran, and he's bowling around the wicket to him. Brooks is very solidly behind that. Right, just in terms of weakening this England team for the last Test match, I've put out another emergency call up to Gary Keady.
Oh, the former Lancashire spinner.
Yeah, is that the one who got the yips?
Oh, Simon Carrigan.
Oh, Simon Carrigan. I've got the wrong one. Damn, I brought down a bowler who could be a match.
Yeah, Gary Keady never played for England. Simon Carrigan was really unfortunate because he was the best spinner in England up until he got picked. And even his first class figures after that weren't awful, but he just, that one spell ruined his career.
He did, yeah. Curran bowls and Brooks covers up, plays very correctly. Yeah, I remember Ian Botham, no lesser judge, saying this. It's unfortunate this guy won't get another chance after that. He'll never play another Test, and he
bowled one spell in the. I thought he was captained actually really quite badly. Surely, the series was already won at that point. England were 3-0 up in the last Test of the series. Surely you give him another confidence booster spell at least. Because basically what you're saying to him at that point is, I didn't pick you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a particularly bad case of the yips, wasn't it? Curran, and that hits Brooks on the pad. There's no bat on it though, and no need to run. So England still chasing these 4 wickets for victory. West Indies on 161 for 6. We're in the 30th of the likely 30 overs to go. 29 after this.
Over on the Carib cricket handle, we've just tweeted a picture of the Shannon Gabriel batting with the whole Pakistan team around him. This Test is set up for Shannon Gabriel to get his true redemption.
Wouldn't that be nice? Curran bowls.
Oh, that's got to be out.
The pad as the pill for LBW has to be out. That is the end of Shamar Brooks. It was a ball that kept low. It came back in. Curran will no doubt say he rolled his fingers over it. Stone dead. Surely no review. Brooks is out.
Review it anyway.
Don't review it anyway. You'll need them. Oh, that's grubbed. Is that another one? Oh, actually, maybe not grubbed completely.
Not quite as low as I thought, but Brooks was caught back on the crease with no noticeable movement of the feet. Sam Cohen enjoyed that one. He hadn't contributed much in this innings prior to that, but yet again showing his ability to come in and take an important wicket. So, I said Shamar Brooks had to bat till 6. He's lasted until 12 minutes past 5, and that is, pretty bad news for West Indies there, Mash. I'm going to target outstation the lead and obvious.
Sorry, I was just say we're having a change at the end of this over now with that wicket to fall. We've only got one ball left. Hendo's going to come on to ball by ball. Mash is going to summarise, and Tony's going to come on to tweets.
Yeah, David, just in response to that, I think you and I were on actually earlier on when we were discussing this. That's the one issue Brooks has got. He gets caught on crease a bit. Player, but he is always susceptible to the LBW, and I figured that's how he'd get out today.
But that is the difference, isn't it, Mash, between the two sides in this game? 2 England players have gone on and got big centuries, and West Indies players have been getting out 50, 60, that sort of range.
Well, it makes sense because, again, discussing it with the guys last night, when I was, as usual, saying West Indies don't score over 300, so England don't need to set 300. We rarely get anywhere near that. That's because we don't have batsmen who make hundreds. So we'll always have a few batsmen here and there getting a pretty, or in Craig's case, an obdurate 60. But we don't have big century makers, and that's our biggest deficiency. It was before the tour, and we'll go this whole tour and no one will get a century.
It's a thing that actually takes time to build for test batters, and I think there's some promise in this batting lineup. And certainly you throw in Bravo and as a sort of experienced head, and then Hetmeyer as the sort of wild card a little bit. Something even more high octane version of Jermaine Blackwood, in a sense. I think there is some promise there, but you just got to stick with them for a year or two.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I still think this team will come good. But
you can see the improvement already since in the last couple of years.
There's a difference though between trusting the process and allowing your faith in the process to harm the process. So Shai Holt, for example, has benefited from trusting the process, but actually now you drop him and bring someone else in to go along with the process you're building, or the development you're building.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can only go so far. We're seeing that it's umpire's call on impact, so sort of half the ball was hitting just out, or the centre of the ball was slightly outside the line of off stump, but it would have hit the stumps, so the review would have been retained, but the wicket would not have been.
Run through some tweets in the meantime. Anna Forsyth says it seems that England have collectively decided that doing their shirts all the way up looks good. It doesn't. Kevin Partington says exciting day 5. The Sam Curran jingle is awful, but the rest of the coverage is delectable as always. Peter Lloyd says.
Sorry, Mash, I was just about to say that, just to cut you off in your prime, that Curran bowled that very first ball to what looked like Kemar Roach. We're going to jingle him up in a moment. After a few words from Knackle, it'll be the return of Gorilla Cricket's own bedpan comedian, Hendo.
Yeah, I might stay here until Tony turns up.
Yeah, where is Tony? Tony he's an elusive character these days. He's like the Scarlet Pimpernel of Gorilla Cricket.
Here he is.
Oh, he's finally arrived. He likes to leave it late. He likes to leave us dangling. He likes to worry us a little bit. West Indies 161 for 7. I was just about to say, an hour ago, I thought this would be that West Indies would be hard pressed to last another hour, and I thought I was going to come on and say, but they have, and they haven't lost a wicket. But now they have. That was a good ball. I think you have to say, give credit to the bowler. The ball just kept coming in, and I think Shamar Brooks had shown tremendous concentration. Broad starts new over, bowling to Jason Holder. Can he hang in there? He needs the support of Kemar Roach, and there could be a run out here. There's a problem on. He's just got back, I suppose, because he only needs about 4 strides to cover the pitch, the length of 22 yards. Most batsmen wouldn't have got back for that, but Jason Holder has. They passed upstairs, but I don't think that was out. Ooh, no, he's comfortably home by the time that Butler drags the ball onto the stumps. Just that little bit of extra time. If it had been closer to the stumps, if we'd just taken the bails off, it would have been a lot tighter. That will be given as not out on the big scoreboard. We found Tony. There he is. There he is. He's not gone up to Watford to see if he can apply for a new job.
I'm not sure I'd want it.
He's in again, bowls to Holder outside the off stump. He leaves it alone. How many overs have we got left now? It must still be 30 odd?
29 or 28.
29 or 28. And you'd have to say it's going to take all of the world's best all-rounder, all of his skills to keep England from levelling the series, I would say. Mash, do you go along with that, or you still got hope?
Do you know what? After this ball, I'm going to postulate a thesis on this.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. In comes Broad, bowls on a short one, which he has to jab down from close to his breastbone. A good ball, well played. Yes, Mash.
Some people might be wondering why Kemar Roach has come in and not Alzari Joseph. Because Joseph is the better batsman, but Roach is the better blocker. Now, unless Joseph is sporting an injury, which I doubt he'll bat, Roach can block. What did he get in the first innings? Like a 22 ball 0. Well, no, he got 4 in the end, I think.
Did he get 4 or 5 not out, I think, didn't he? In the end?
Roach was there to block.
In comes Broad, bowls, onto the back foot goes Holder. No, there could be a terrible run out here now. What is going on out there? Kemar Roach may be able to block well, but his call, and it was his call from the non-strikers end as it went to backward point, put his captain in all sorts of difficulties. He thought he was coming, and he started twice, and then he had to go back comfortably, I guess, in the end. But already, 2 potential run-out chances since these two have been together, which is obviously entertaining for those of us who enjoy a run-out or two when collapses are happening. It's not really been a collapse, it's been a good effort from the West Indies, actually, at times. This is clipped away nicely by Holder down to long leg, and they'll amble through for 1. Brings Roach down to face, just faced the 1 ball so far. Can he see off Stuart Broad? Stuart Broad bowling with his tail up, 3 for 42. Final ball of his 14th over. He's laid to rest any doubts anyone had, if indeed they did have them, about whether he should be a first pick in this England team, especially in the English conditions. And England may look back to Southampton and think that's why they need this win to stay in the series. In comes Broad, bowls to Roach. Roach is forward, blocking as long as the day is bright. And this is at the end of the over, 164 for 7.
5 not out, as I said, by the way.
I think it was 5 not out. Yeah.
It was 5 not out. Let me see. I'll go back 10 minutes and shout if we've heard them. Leah saying, I'll just pick some dead guys for the England squad, then have the umpires time them out one after the other, or let the umpires declare the game forfeited due to no-shows from the opposition. Not quite sure what that relates to.
It's to do with picking weakened teams, so that...
Dave Wood's come up with his side for the third test. Roy Duckett, Balance, Denley, Wesley Milan, Bairstow, Overton, Curran S, Borthwick and Curran T.
Yes, perhaps not. I don't think some of those are actually in the bubble, are they? They're not in the bubble of 25 or however many it was.
They might be in the extended bubble because they're in the ODI squad, for example.
Could be. He's around the wicket. Curran bowls to Holder, who guides it off his hip on the angle to the man at short mid wicket. Now, if the cameraman would kindly pull back, I can give you details of the slightly interesting field that England are adopting at the moment. Doesn't include much in the way of slips, just the one. There's a short extra, there's a short mid off, there's a short mid wicket, there's a mid off, a mid on, a long leg in about 10 yards and a deep square. In comes Curran, left arm round the wicket, bowls to Holder, and he will be doing everything to try to ensure that his team hang on to that Wisden Trophy by batting out the rest of the season. 27 is it? 28 overs to go. And I expect another burst from Ben Stokes at some point if needed. Holder has now moved on to 17. I know these rankings don't move very much in a short period of time. Is there any chance that Ben Stokes will take over from Holder as the best all-rounder? He's in again, bowls nicely stroked to the man at short extra, who is Zach Crawley.
I think the ranking should be weighted for how rubbish your team is and the amount of cricket you actually play. So, for example, West Indies barely play test matches. I think, Stokes has played nearly double the same amount of test cricket as Jason must have done for the West Indies. So I think that's why Jason says this, he doesn't hold any sway by the rankings at all.
Oh, right. Okay, he drives the next fuller ball straight back into the hands of Curran, although into the wicket first, so it wasn't catched. Curran seems he's got to have a little bit of a headache. He's just rubbing his brow. Oh no, that's sweat. I took that as meaning that he seemed to be a bit under strain.
That's a headband, Hendo, as well. It's not a great big bandage he's got on. Just saying. Someone hasn't clocked him that he's needed a big bandage on.
Here he is, in again. Bowls to hold, returns it off his hip. There is a man at mid wicket, Ollie Pope, and there is no run. So England need 3 wickets to win. West Indies need 148 to win. Not completely out of the question, but pretty much so. And it's looking like it could well be a good return to Test cricket for Joe Root. In comes Curran to complete his 7th over. Oh, he's hit Holder there as he tried to turn it on the onside, hit him on the inside of the thigh, but far too high. No chance for an LBW. 27 overs remaining. West Indies 164 for 7. Tony.
Yes, Messy Jazz says, so, if it lasts that long, I am assuming the last hour in which 15 overs are required starts at 6 p.m, by which time it looks as if England will have completed 67 overs, meaning that unless they get a move on, England would only get 2 overs with the new ball. Very good point. Ravi the heavy roller ready. Worst 11. And then, oh my lord, Nagamutu, Chatragoon, Carlton Bow, DNR, Franklin Rose with Butler Knife, Clayton Lambert, Philo Wallace, Nixon McLean, Brendan Nash, Raul Lewis and Pagon.
It's interesting you mentioned...
I've not heard of most of those, have I?
Well, I haven't heard of a few of them, but it's interesting you mentions Clayton Lambert and Philo Wallace, who I think were the batsmen...
Who I have heard of, yeah.
Well, they were the batsmen on the final day in Barbados in 1998, and it drizzled all day. And it was a question of whether England could bowl them out had there been play. And we all woke up in Barbados to see the cloud and drizzle, which was unheard of at that time of year in Barbados, really. But it was Clayton Lambert and Philo Wallace who were at the crease, as I recall. Broad in, bowls to Roach, who gets far enough forward to defend that into the onside, and there is no run. But I've always laboured under the impression, somewhere in my mind, that Phil O'Wallace was Phil Simmons. And that's just a strange thing that's got confused in my mind. And I was thinking it was Phil Simmons in their match, but I think it was Phil O'Wallace. It was they were a bruising opening pair, weren't they, Mash? They were guys who really go for it. It was quite an interesting duo. Right up full from Broad, defended with the full face of the bat.
Phil Simmons was Irish coach. Phil O'Wallace is an Irish name. Is that what confused you?
Yeah, very good, Tony. Gosh, that'd be great. I get 4 days clear of no Tony puns until the next test match. Here comes Broad again. He's into his 15th over. Has figures of 3 for 42. Stokes is there in the slips. He's willing this game to go England's way, but Roach hangs the bat inside the line of that one and lets it grub through to Butler. There is no run. Yes, it's a very effective blocker. Have we got any good stats, Mash, about Kemar Roach's blocking abilities? Is there any particular innings that stands out?
I want to get back to you on that.
Okay.
He has played some iconic.
I didn't expect you to have it necessarily to hand. But,
there's a few that in my head, but I'm trying to think of the most iconic blockathon he's put down.
Right, well, we'll find out about that. Full defended again. It might have been drivable by a man of more attacking instinct, but he's just steered it up to mid-off, and there is no run. We haven't. Did we get to jingle up Kemar Roach, by the way?
No, I think Knuckles been desperate. He's been leaping up and down, waving his arms.
It's funny when you're only a little square on the screen, you don't necessarily see people doing that. Here comes Broad into Roach. Roach gets right forward, bat in front of pad. Defends back to the bowler. For it is he. He has faced 7 balls so far, has yet to get off the mark. Chris Wokes is off the pitch at the moment, so he's maybe going to get some extra instructions from the Brains Trust of Chris Silverwood and others. Here is Broad into Roach. Roach gets right in behind that, but by the way he reacted to that, it was as if to suggest that leapt cruelly upon him, but it didn't really bounce that much. Anyway, that's the end of the over. Have you remembered MASH yet?
I'm currently researching to find out which of the blockathons I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Well, let me give you some messages and give you some time to research. Michael in NC USA says, Ray, who I saw in Test cricket that made me think I could play. Nobody yet. I've yet to see Test cricket. No broadcasts in the USA. I only have your words to go by. Not Fred was answering.
Is there not Willow? Is Willow TV not showing this in the States? I mean, I guess that's a pay TV channel, but I thought I saw that this was being carried by them in the US. We'll come back to not Fred Titmus, if we must, I suppose. Curran round the wicket, bowls pulled by Holder and pulled really effectively. I'm just waiting to see whether that cleared the boundary. There is a man out there, Ollie Pope, but it appears to be 4. I didn't quite see where that landed. It went further square of him.
3, 4.
Not the ball to be bowled by Curran, really, was it? It didn't have the pace to trouble Holder.
Yeah, but it has gone in the air. I mean, I think he was in reasonable control of it. If he hadn't realised where the backward square leg was, or the deep backward square leg was, he might have been in trouble. But maybe he had locked that into his brain. Curran in bowls, and this one he pushes forward to, catches a thick inside edge, and once more the man at deep backward square will do the fielding. I mean, he has got 2 men out there, hasn't he? The deep backward square and a man at long leg. So just the occasional bouncer might just surprise Holder and may lead him to an indiscretion. You never know. It looks to me like Alzari Joseph has got pads on, so I don't think he's going to be missing because of an injury at all. But I think it is just the fact that he's a much more attacking batsman than Kemar Roach, and Holder and Phil Simmons want Roach out there doing a job. 169 for 7. Roach is now down to face Curran. He's staying round the wicket. He bowls a full ball. He has a little fish at that one. It grubs along the ground after bouncing through to Butler.
I've got an answer for your question, Henry.
Yay!
It's not, so I might have this wrong. Well, no, he has had a few epics. So, yeah, there was a 9 not out against Australia off 65 balls.
Ooh, good. Did he get out of trouble? Did they get out of trouble in that game?
I need to go and look at that test match again. But I think it's more actually that Kimar can actually just bat. So he's improved his batting ability.
Current in bowl. He clips that. He's going to get runs. He's going to get one of them. I think it's only going to be one. But unfortunately, in a way, he's going to possibly pinch the strike. There's still a couple of balls to come in this over. West Indies moved to 170 for 7. And
he has 17 not outs to his name, does Kemar?
He has how many? 17
1-7, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I actually think so. That's possibly the best point there. That shows you that he knows how to, well, maybe not block, but certainly knows how to carry his bat. He's not a number 11, is he?
Yeah. Curran then round the wicket to Holder, and Holder digs out a Yorker length delivery, guides it to the man at short extra cover, and there is no run. That was one of Curran's quicker balls, 81 miles an hour. He doesn't get up above that too often, but he does get the ball to swing in at times when he's really got his rhythm right, and that was how he got the wicket of Shamar Brooks, who batted so well and looked so comfortable in many ways. Curran in again, bowls to Holder, full forward defensive. He's got a long stride on him, has the 6'7" West Indies captain. That is the end of the over. It's still 170 for 7 with 25 overs remaining. Are we getting tense yet, Tony?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is. I've been tense all afternoon, Henry. It's on a knife edge. I think it's still on a knife edge.
Yeah, I can add to that. So, like I say, further to me saying why they've sent Roach out, my plan is as follows. They're going to tell Kimar, block as much as you can, because Azari knows how to actually play cricket as a batsman but likes to attack. They're hoping that Kimar can take this down to 10 overs remaining. I don't know if Kimar has got 15 overs of blocking in him. The plan
you know, Mash.
Azari with 10.
I was going to say it's all set up for a last over for Shannon Gabriel at the crease, hasn't it?
I've already foreseen that it's going to be West Indies need 102 to win with 7 balls left, and Shannon is walking in.
Shannon will think he can do it. That is the problem. Change of bowling, indeed. Well, I wasn't terribly impressed with his spell this afternoon. I don't think John Baden was either by what he was saying. He was bowling in tandem with Stokes for a while, but he's back into the attack. We'll give you a jingle in a minute. 3 men round the bat, 1 in front on the offside. A short square leg, a slip as well. And let's Dominic Bess bowl one more ball before we set off the jingle. He's blowing on his hand, trying to make sure that he gets the grip or feels the ball nicely in that hand. He's in, bowls it, tosses it up. It's a full toss. It's smacked by Kemar Roach into the shins of I think Zach Crawley at silly mid-off, and then it rebounds up towards mid-off, and there is no run. You don't really have much time to get these jingles in when Bess is bowling. That's the problem. This one is defended right back to him.
Inbound from the county scene where it rises rain. It's Dominic Bess.
And he's in again to Roach. Bowls. Oh, a quick one hits him on the pad. I didn't think that would have been a bad shout, but no one seemed very interested in it. It was very, very full. He tried to whip it away, went a little bit across the line. I'd like to see that one again.
I thought he put bat on it, so I'd be interested. I will be interested.
Do you think he gets something on that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, England weren't interested. He's in again, throws it up outside off stump. That's the length he's looking for, because it brings Roach forward, and there is a chance for it to turn as well. And that's what they're looking for in terms of catches, or even bowling in between bat and pad. He wants to bring him forward, but he doesn't want to make it too easy for him. Here he is again, to bowl the final ball of the over. And again, it's not a bad one at all, but Roach is proving very adept. He more or less kills the ball under the bat, and that is the end of the over. 170 for 7. Tony.
Ravi, the heavy roller already says, I think Jason Holder should go to 6, Cornwall at 7 and Dowrich at 8. Mike Mihal Wood says, what it's worth, I'm exactly 1 day older than Simon Kerrigan and I would hazard exactly 1 better at bowling too, based on a sample size of 1. Jeff Perkins says, Roach is a beta blocker. McAllister Riptide said, he reminds me of Hobb, the evil kid from Robocop 2, only with more firepower, but I'm not actually sure who he's talking about. Brooks Ravi says, Brooks looks like a mainstay. I'm certain he will grow from strength to strength. I think you're right. And we have Ben Stokes, I think, coming into the attack, do we? Or is he just heading off to slip?
He's having a chat with Stuart Broad. I think he's going to bowl. He's got figures of 11 overs, 4 overs, 120.
Stokes, and he called me a oh, if I'd only seen that Ben Stokes was so mean, and he called me up, said he'd punch my.
He's into Holder outside the off stump. He plays a fluent shot off the back foot. I think that's Rory Burns diving at backward point. No, it's Dominic Bess, and there is no run. I wanted to say about Shamar Brooks because I thought he was batting really nicely just before he got out, and I've really enjoyed watching him. And it's weird to think that he's really not gone further in the game than he has. I mean, he's already past 30, I think we said, and he's dropped in and out of his domestic team. He's had some struggles. I wonder, and I'll come back to that, as Stokes approaches, a slip and a forward short leg, defended on the front foot by Holder to X-Cover. I wonder, and Mash, you may know a little bit more about that, was he a kind of guy who just wanted to play shots all the time? Is this why he didn't succeed? Is this why he went so long without getting a 50 even, I think, and was dropped by Barbados, is that right?
Yeah, and then from about, I wouldn't say it was more so they was trusting a game, actually. I'll come back in a second.
Stokes in again, bowls to Holder. Holder clips that away, past the man at short leg. He's putting his head down, running quickly. The first one, they'll get back actually very comfortably for a second. 172 for 7. Yes, Mash?
Yeah, so from about 2015/16 onwards, Shamar, in fairness to him, has been quite consistent in first-class cricket. Not in terms of big hundreds, in terms of scores of 50 plus. So I think he began to understand his game better. But the reason he's not played for West Indies any sooner is because this West Indies team has basically been the same team for 3 years. So it's been hard to break into the team. I'll expand on that in a second.
Yeah, do. That's interesting. Stokes bowls a short one down the leg side, left alone by Holder.
So if you look at the West Indies top order, forget the openers, 3, 4, 5, 6. The past 3 years, 3, 4, 5, 6 has basically been Holt, Hetmeyer, Roston Chase, and then one of Blackwood's Darren Bravo when he came back. If you're Shamar Brooks, who are you going to replace in that side? Those 5 or 4 names I've mentioned are all bigger names than him. And it's taken him ages to be on the cusp of getting a call up and a space opening up.
Okay. Stokes in, bowls. This is left alone. It bounces a second time, making it awkward for Butler, and there is no run.
But then what it also shows as well, which is why people like me are saying drop Shy Holt, is what does that say to the first class system if you have an established batsman on the side who's not producing and you just have a drop him? Yeah. What's the point in doing well in first class cricket? Then you just have another Shamar Brooks situation where a 31-year-old suddenly comes in to make his debut, but after waiting for years upon years upon years.
Yeah, and do you wonder maybe then he missed some of his peak years, really, potentially. Stokes is in, bowls, better ball, thick inside edge as he comes forward. It runs towards the edge of the square at mid-wicket, mid-on, and they take a single. He will keep the strike. It's 173 for 7. The number of overs that England have remaining to dismiss this West Indies side is coming down gradually. It's now down to 23. They need 3 wickets in 23 overs. You feel if they get through one of these, it could come quite quickly, but we shall see. Yeah, it's interesting you say that about Shamar Brooks. He just looked a class above to me. Just watching him, I know you said he's liable for LBW, but he just seemed to have that time to play, which we always outline as being the sign of a class player. And for a man who hasn't played much in the Test arena, his temperament seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a very good point, which I'll get onto in a second.
Okay, so Bess will continue. Are England trying to get to the new ball? Who knows? He's in, bowls, and that's a flatter one. It didn't really turn. It might have been the arm ball. It's edged away towards gully by Holder. Stokes, as ever, willing to go and do the fielding. He chases everything. And, is Ben Stokes going to burn out eventually? Is he? You wonder about him because he is just so explosive in everything that he does. Overtrains almost. Full toss, driven, past the man at forward, silly mid-off, and wide of the man at mid-off. That will bring Holder 4 runs. Holder takes advantage of an over-pitch delivery, opens the face and plays a very attractive shot. It's not really been Bess's day, has it? Got his length right. Here he is again. Can he change that round now? He's in, bowls a flat one, and he goes for a big strike down the ground. He's caught it well. He's caught it very well. It's quite a flat shot, but it has cleared the boundary. 6 runs.
It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
Those 2 shots take Jason Holder on to 35 from 60 deliveries. Is there an outside chance of the Windies taking it?
I was about to say that's the shot of a man who thinks if he does a couple of those, if it's offered to him, then they might be in a position to do it.
I can't imagine that England are going to leave him on too long if he plays many more shots.
Well, that might also be the objective, knock him out the attack.
Bess in, bowls. Oh, he's turned that into the onside. That was a slightly better delivery. Picked up at mid-wicket. And again, no run.
If they go at 10 and over, then it is on. Providing they don't lose wickets, of course.
Absolutely, but I can't imagine that England will leave Bess to be slaughtered by Holder for the next half an hour. He's in again. Oh, he's gone through him, and he's bowled him! Oh, there we are! Would you believe it? Bess has got the wicket. He's saying some rather rude words at the West Indies captain, not directly to him, but having been hit for 10 in that over, he's come back with one that he's turned between the gates, and he has got perhaps the crucial wicket of the afternoon-evening session. Dominic Bess, take a bow.
Pumped, isn't he? Not surprised.
He's absolutely pumped up, and I'm not surprised, as you say, because he's just been a lamb to the slaughter the last couple of balls, and maybe Jason Holder has just got a little bit overconfident there and underrated Bess a little bit, and he's produced a corking delivery. It was quite a flat one, but it did turn, and it got him stretching forward. He left enough of a gap for the ball to get through, took out the off stump, and England are in sight of levelling this series. How exciting
it is indeed. A message from Bob Mangle on Cricket Tracker.
Yes.
He's from Brooklyn in New York. He says, good job, guys, keep it up.
We'll try that. Keep it up. We'll keep
delighted to have you with us. Another, of course, if you are listening to us, well, anywhere in the world, in fact, you can always try us on Hot Mic, where if you just go use the code GC Radio, you can sync it with your TV. You can aggregate all forms of different messages all in one place, and it's a pretty reliable experience too. We'd love you to try that out too. Jason Hiscox says, why did it take 10 years, we're talking about Brooks, to get him in the side, given some of the dross that has come before? Looks a class above some of them in application and ability. Ravi says, and this is more timely, although this was actually quite a while ago, he says, Holder's had a poor series and will come back in the final test. He's also not out at the moment, he's not anymore, and may come through for us. I am more confident in him than Dowrich, hence my demotion of him.
I want to come back on that to say that Holder's not had a good series. He took 64-2 in the first.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Ravi.
Southampton, yes, I'm not really sure that I agree. That is a great ball. When you see it from the stump cam, it's not a massive gap that Holder has left, but Bess has found his way through, and well done to him. I feel pleased for him because he was taking a bit of a battering. And he was getting a bit of battering from John earlier as well, wasn't he? Bowls now to... Oh, there could be a run. He bowls now to Alzari Joseph, who pushes this away. They run through for the single, but there was a lot of hesitation. And just for a moment, I wasn't sure whether Kemar Roach was going to run through. But it's the end of the over. West Indies are 184 for 8, 22 overs remain. We need 2 more wickets for England to level the series.
It's gripping stuff. Jeff Perkins a while ago said it's not a headband, Tony, it's an ego girdle. I don't know if that was referring to Stuart Broad's, but highly probable. No, I think it was, or was it Curran we were discussing?
Yeah, it was Curran we were talking about with the headband.
Yeah, Chris Doberman, Dobertine, sorry, Doberman, I turned him into a dog, which is a bit unkind. Chris Dobertine says, I'm watching on Willow TV.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Well, I was listening to you all, and I'm in Chicago. Well, hello to you, Chris.
So if you are in America and you want the TV pictures to sync with our commentary, Willow is the place to go. Stokes will continue. He's got a slipper gully, a leg gully, a forward short leg, square cover, a mid-off round 2 extra cover, mid-on as well. Probably a man out in the deep on the leg side. This is his first ball of the over, and Joseph ducks underneath it. Joseph looked pretty astute in the first innings, played some lovely shots. He doesn't hang around, but he plays some genuine cricket shots, though.
I think Knuckles about to take off.
He's not a slogger. Anyway, he wants to take off. He wants to play a jingle.
Oh, right.
Alzari Joseph.
Here comes Stokes into him again. He ducks under another bouncer. At least from his perspective, this is coming from over the wicket, so he's not yet troubling him under the armpit from that awkward round the wicket position. There is no run. 184 for 8. Joseph has a single. Roach has a single. Only these two and Shannon Gabriel stand between the West Indies and defeat. How does that make you feel, Nash?
Well, we're going to lose, but I have a point away. From that. Retest cricket, which I want to echo after this.
Certainly. Here comes Stokes again, slightly fuller. He tries to turn it into the onside. It rather loops up off his pad, but well short of the man at short leg. Not thinking that there was any bat involved either. Yes, Mash.
So it's really the point about Brooks and temperament, and I think what this shows is you don't have to be the best Test cricket batsman or Test batsman, but it shows that having a temperament for Test cricket can take you further than obvious ability. If that makes sense.
No, I think that's absolutely true.
Brooks has highlighted that. No one can tell me that Holt doesn't look a better player.
Well, I don't. This one gets all tangled up in the pads of Joseph as he tries to turn it on the onside. I don't think in this series that you could say Hope has looked anything like the batsman he's capable of being. But I always sort of like a player, and you just see that feeling that they're not hurried in their stroke play, and I don't think Shamar Brooks is, and that's what I like about him. I think maybe there's too much expectation on Shea Hope at the moment after what he did here 3 years ago. Stokes in full driven, lovely shot actually, lovely shot by Joseph all the way along the ground past the umpire at the far end. It's going to go for 4.
Super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, rocka, super shatter.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot. He does give it the high left elbow. There's something technically quite attractive about Alzari Joseph's batting, as I think Knuckles was making the point that he's had did he finish top of the batting averages?
Yeah, a lot of not outs, but
but even so, that's still quite good. Stokes in again, a fuller one. He drives him again. And Stokes this time gets the ball, tries to hurl it from a very strange position, and they've run through for a single. There you go. It must have sprung away. They've got an overthrow, and that is the end of the over. 189 for 8.
Yeah. So, sorry, Pat. No, tell me you've got some tweets out there.
Well, I was going to say first of all to Tai Ping Shan, who has joined us on Hot Mic, been for a while. Not only has he joined us, he has left a very generous tip, as they call it on Hot Mic, for which we are exceedingly grateful. That is most kind, and thank you. John Howell was talking about Willow. He says it's showing the test, but I give up on them. I get after years of awful customer service. So back with the friendly gorillas.
Well, we know we'd rather have you than you be watching Willow and not listening to us. Bess will continue. 21 overs remaining. He's coming into Joseph. He's him on the pad. That's got to be LBW, hasn't it? It was like turn too much. He's not played a shot there. If it's turning, I didn't think it was turning that much. You've got to review that. England.
2 reviews left. I would think you will.
Yes, they are going to review that.
That was an outrageous lead.
Extraordinary. That must be hitting leg stump, surely. I'll be amazed if this isn't. If this is, I'm not even sure what Richard Illingworth is thinking by not giving that.
Did it pitch outside the line or something? I don't.
Well, I thought it was quite leg-sidey, so it'll be interesting to see.
Let's have a look. Here it comes. Is it turning? No, it's going. Well,
might be umpires.
Butler's barely going.
Yeah.
Might be umpire's call, in which case he survived it. Let's have another look at it. Oh, I don't know. That is going over the top.
Missing too high.
Going over the top of leg stump. So the direction was not too bad, but a bit of extra bounce. So a fantastic decision by Richard Illingworth. A rather less fantastic decision by Alzari Joseph to leave that alone.
You think he knew it was bouncing over the...
I think he did. I think, hey, no worries, guys. No worries, guys. That's going over. 1 review left for England. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite them. In comes Bess. Bowls. That's popped up in the air. Is that going to be a catch? There was inside edge. Yes, there is. Richard Illingworth lifts the finger, and Alzari Joseph is sort of perceptibly shaking his head. Whether it's because he doesn't think he got an inside edge onto that, or whether he's just disappointed. No, he's reviewed it immediately, so we will have to wait for a moment while Richard Kettleborough gets it all lined up. And we wait for a review.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
No.
It's absolutely nowhere near the bat.
No, forget that.
So you can understand that. That's I'm afraid that going from making a great decision to making a terrible decision there, Richard Illingworth, that's a shocker. I mean, maybe bat has hit the inside of pad and he's heard the 2 sounds, but definitely no contact with the bat. So Alzari Joseph was right to shake his head. And in this day and age, when you shake your head, you don't have to be accused of going against the umpire. You just have to review it. And he's given... Hang on.
They're reviewing for LBW.
They're reviewing for LBW. Well, that was missing by miles. That is one of the worst LBW reviews.
No, Hendo.
Yeah.
Because it's a review for all outs. So they went for the catch and then they reviewed anyway.
All right, thank you for that. In he comes again. Alzari Joseph pushes into the covers. It's fielded by Crawley, and there is no run. Joseph has 6. Roach has 1. Has Bess made that the crucial breakthrough of the evening? We wait to see as the clock ticks around towards 5 to 6. In comes Bess again, throws it up, driven into the onside. There is a man deep at mid-on, who I believe to be Stuart Broad, and they run through for a single. 190 for 8. Bess 1 for 55 now from what will be 13 overs at the end of this one. You've got to say, when the pressure was on, he produced. Here he is again in bowls, and Kemar Roach is a man not to be disturbed by pressure. He props forward and defends the man at silly mid-off.
I know that Bear is on very soon, so I think this is my last stint, so I just want to say to him, it's no longer in the bag.
In again, bowls to Roach, right forward in defence. The ball rolls to the man at silly mid-off. That's the end of the over. It's 190 for 8. We should be also joined by Dave, I think, shortly. We'll say our good nights and thank you very much to Mash and Tony. And
yeah, I think I'm off.
We will see them for the 3rd test.
You
and
will
what
indeed.
a 3rd test that could yet be, because if the West Indies can't hold out here for another 20 overs, then we're going back to Old Trafford on Friday for the deciding test.
All right, guys. Thank you and take care.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Mash. Cheers, lads. It's going to be Ben Stokes. 20 overs to go. Can he finish off this West Indies tale? It's been his game so far. And he's got one to go through. Alzari Joseph rising and seemingly gathering pace off the pitch as it nipped away from him. He was onto the back foot, but he couldn't make contact. It was too good for Alzari Joseph, who isn't the worst batsman in the world. But a really, really nice delivery from Stokes. There's only really one possibility for man of the match in this game, isn't there? Has to be Ben. Anyway, here he is, striding up. A slip and a short leg. That's a poorly directed bouncer, which Joseph gets under very easily. Dave is back in control of the tweets. And what's happening there, Dave?
Well, just before that, I go to social media. Just something that's been bugging me about bouncers. You know what Toby Radford was saying before the start of the second, third day. England bowled 50 more bouncers more than West Indies, I think, in this innings. I mean, it's much better use of the short ball, don't you think?
Yes, it's been a sort of a targeted attack, hasn't it? That's full, driven by Alzari Joseph. Might have the legs to get to the boundary. It's probably not. It's going to be chased down by Bess, who turns and throws. It was a much slower ball from Ben Stokes, just 71 miles an hour, just trying that change of pace. But Joseph picked it and drove it well. Well, it depends whether you think in terms of numbers or quality, doesn't it? I mean, just because England bowled 50 more short balls than the West Indies doesn't mean that the quality was better. It may well have been. I'll just put that out there. You can come back on that in a minute. It's another short one, which has him almost toppling over as he tries to keep it away from his ribs. And the ball drops out in the offside. There is no run.
I wasn't really taking a view other than saying it's an interesting observation that England bowls so many more bumpers than West Indies. Because if you asked a neutral, if maybe you hadn't seen the game, who do you think bowls more bouncers? A lot of people would say West Indies, but it follows on from what Toby was saying about this particular attack at Gabriel and Roach. They don't bowl a lot of short stuff.
Yeah, no, I remember him saying that, and I think it is definitely interesting. But I think it's a matter of when it comes to bouncers, onto the back foot goes Joseph. It drops down off an inside edge, past the leg stump, agonisingly close for Stokes. I mean, surely ultimately it's the quality of that short bowling as opposed to quantity. Although the quantity can have an effect as well. Just the barrage of it, really. And I mean that's what England found so difficult, wasn't it, in the 80s and 90s? Is just the continual barrage.
Yeah, but I think the way they're doing it, they've just followed Neil Wagner's approach, haven't they? It's not.
Yes.
It's a barrage, but it's only because the pitch is shit. It's not because you're getting anything out of it.
No, absolutely. Driven in the air and caught at backward point. Bess again is involved. He's starring in the final moments of this game. Ben Stokes, of course, has another wicket. Joseph goes. West Indies 192 for 9. 19 overs remaining. England need 1 wicket to level the series.
Well, it's in our bag, Mash, is what I'm going to say.
What was that about a bag?
It's in our bag, Mash.
Our bag.
The chants of Barmy Army have broken out behind me, Hendo. Amelia's getting the whole Barmy Army thing going here.
I imagine that Basil
she does enjoy an England victory. She really does.
Oh, does she?
And this is a really good victory for England fans to say, because yet again it's Ben Stokes playing that role, of just dragging the game according to his will. From the moment he started putting bat to ball this morning, it's just been his day, hasn't it? And even after, when we were giving him a bit of jip in the commentary box, bowling that short stuff, well, John was, he responded by getting that important wicket of Blackwood just before tea. He is still going now.
I have to say I didn't agree with John with what John was saying at that point. I can understand in a sense that it seemed pointless, but I think I've always said that when England have tried this mode of attack in the past, in previous series against other teams, they've usually stopped it, in my opinion, too early. But it seems to me now that they are taking the Wagner approach. They are deciding that this is what Stokes will do if nothing's happening, and the pitch is not great, or not great in terms of pace.
No, I agree, and I think that's right. And the problem is, because it is all short stuff, if they just duck, it looks like it's a waste of a delivery. But it's not. I think it's the incessant barrage, isn't it?
Yes.
Eventually, you cause the mistake.
Yeah.
But you have to keep battering away at it.
Yeah,
until
and it
you
worked
get
in
that
the first innings. It led to that fall of wickets.
Exactly.
It stemmed the flow of runs. It altered the whole rhythm of the game.
It's quite ugly cricket, but can I just point out to a great tweet here from Holly Bond? I don't know if you read this out, but there's a silvery beams after this ball.
It's Best bowling to Roach, and Roach has either glanced that or it's come off his pad. It's getting very fine. It's being chased. It's going to be hauled up by Sam Curran just inside the line. They've got back for 2 leg buys. Yes, Bear.
It's our man Silbury Booms. He's obviously a gorilla listener. He's listened to us. He's on holiday in Croyd Bay, which is in Devon.
Oh, yes.
And I think he might be enjoying it and a beer too. And there's a picture of him punching the air. Presumably there's a wicket fell not that long ago.
Yeah, good on you, Holly. Nice one.
Doing a bit of surfing, perhaps. Forward comes Roach. This ball doesn't turn back. Goes past his outside edge. He just thrusts the leg and bat forward. I don't know whether he would have been in great control of the ball had it made contact with the bat. Anyway, he settles down. Can he last for 19 overs with Shannon Gabriel at the other end? It's exciting stuff. He pushes forward. That one does turn. Jumps a little bit. Hint of inside edge onto pad. Drops short of the man at short leg.
Well, Monty and Jimmy managed it for England. There was only 13 overs for those guys, though, wasn't it?
Yes, at Cardiff. He's in again. Bowled.
Oh!
Now that has that gone off the edge or the back pad? I wasn't 100% sure there. If it was the back pad, I'd have thought there'd have been an appeal for LBW there. I think it must have caught the edge and just gone to ground. Stokes is the man fielding it at first. But I suppose it would be apt if he was to take the final catch or the final wicket. Bess in again, throws it up. Roach comes forward, plays it to the man at silly mid-off, and there is no run. Roach has a single from 23 balls. It's a rear guard effort from him. What are we going to get from Gabriel at the other end? Will he try and pinch the strike, Kemar Roach? We shall see. Best in again. Oh, and that jumps on him. And in the end, he plays it well. Behind square rather than in front of. And that means it doesn't go to hand. That is the end of the over. West Indies are 194 for 9. And it does mean that we're going to see the legend with the bat that is Shannon Gabriel.
Well, we should have this jingle for him, shouldn't we?
I think we should.
Got him! Why did he do that? Unbelievable!
Great. The voice of Fazir Mohammed.
Well, the thing is now, of course, he can redeem himself by batting for the next 18 overs.
I'm behind with the tweets, Hendo. Can I just throw a few in?
Yes.
Dirk Willis says, a friend just asked me if Shannon Gabriel is West Indies Jack Leach. I said he's not in there. Robin Leach.
Robin Leach.
I don't know. I'm hoping you'd tell me that, Hendo.
Who is Robin Leach? We need to know.
Yeah, Dave Wood wants to know if Bess gets a knighthood for that wicket. Nice one, Dave. I know the reference there. Was it the Smurf? Wasn't it Ian Bell? Or was it Collingwood? One of them.
Here comes Stokes to start a new over. 2 for 30 from 14 overs. He's into Gabriel, whose first ball he defends and says, who are these people who say I can't bat? I get in behind the line of the ball like many of my more illustrious colleagues fail to do, and I defend it back to one of the finest all-rounders in the world. Poor old Shannon Gabriel. He's been treated unfairly. He has been maligned unfairly. 2 slips of gully. Oh, sorry, it's 1 slip in a gully, a leg gully, a short square leg, long leg, mid-on and mid-off. In comes Stokes, bowls a short one, which Gabriel gets underneath, and it goes through to Butler. More tweets.
Oh, sorry, I saw Bear giving away.
Well, I was going to say, I know Robin Leach. He's a dad at school.
Okay.
Oh well, as long as you know who he's talking about.
Well, I don't even know. I don't know Derek Willis unless he's also a dad from school. And I don't know him.
There must be other famous leeches in the world.
No, he sent a link.
Oh right, okay. Well, anyway, the ball is back with Stokes. England need 1 wicket to take a victory that looked so unlikely yesterday afternoon. This is another bouncer from Stokes, and Gabriel knows what to expect. He ducks underneath it.
Yeah, it did seem unlikely. You know, West Indies had it all. They came here for a draw. It looked like they'd got it, and then that spell from Stuart Broad. Pirate Badger Hendo says, any chance of an unexpected thunderstorm can be arranged to be teleported from a parallel universe? Is that something that you can organise, Bear?
I refuse to organise such things.
Bear is immune to lightning. We know this. Down the leg side. Horrible ball, really. Gabriel has nothing to do with it. Bear is the only one who can sit inside an almost entirely steel and metallic clad box in a thunderstorm and not die.
It's a Faraday cage, man.
Faraday cage that he took to Ireland with him all those years ago. Well, 2 years ago now.
Right.
Now, what's going on here? I think he's done a groin. I think Ben Stokes might have done a groin. This doesn't look good. He's walking up to meet Joe Root, and I think he's going to have to come off. Yep, something's happened there, I think. He's having a chat with the captain. And I think he's going to either go into the slips. Someone is going to have to finish his over, I think. Now he's turned back and it's gone the other way. He's going to get his cap. So, that maybe... Well, it probably won't have any outcome on this game, but it might on Fridays.
Looks like Ruti's going to bowl.
Is it going to be Root?
Well, I've just seen Butler go to the stumps and everyone sort of crowd around the stumps.
Oh, well, in that case, it probably will be Ruti to bowl the remaining deliveries.
Vector Victoria likes to know how the light's looking.
Fine.
The light's looking very good. It's very bright now. The sun is out.
I don't know whether we've had this one from Craig. He's in. Craig has them. I'm in Ibiza, listening in the sun. What a lovely place to be right now. Carry on with the great commentary, Hendo. Come on, England.
Thank you very much. I should say the Robin Leach that was referred to did Lifestyles and Rich and Famous from 84 to 95.
Root ambles up, round arms, a filthy delivery towards Shannon Gabriel. He's saying, Shannon, come on, Shannon. You know you want to. Mind the windows. He's bringing up a man from long on, about 15 yards, not all the way. 3 men round the bat. He's in again, bowls, turns it, onto the back foot goes Gabriel, defends. And I think that's probably all we'll see of Root. 2 balls. That is the end of the over. 17 remaining. 194 for 9. But Ben Stokes is injured. Is there an escape clause?
Could it just be a cramp? It just could be something that's given away tonight. Often that can be the case with minor things. They just thought, take him off, rest him up. They'll play him as just a batsman if he's capable of getting out in the park. I'd have thought in the next test anyway.
Well, I suppose if it was something serious, he would want to go off now, wouldn't he? I wouldn't want to do any more damage at all to it. But he's quite happy to take his place in the slips. So, with a bit of luck, maybe it's just a little twinge. It may be cramp. I don't think it was crampy. He just seemed to be holding his groin a little bit. Anyway, Bess back to bowl. He's into Roach, and Roach is forward and defends that one. Pope was scrambling to get it at short leg but couldn't. There is a man at mid wicket to field and there is no run.
Martin Jones, Hendo says, looks like Stokes has been officially bowled into the ground. Well done, Rooty.
Well, I think he's well, this is it, the pad. There's a big appeal for LBW. I think he got outside the line, but there was some definite turn there. I think he's basically bowled himself into the ground. I mean, he's that kind of player. He will do whatever it takes. You saw that when he was captain last week, how he was straining really to get those final wickets, which he couldn't get in the end. Bess once more in to Roach, and he's beaten outside the off stumps. He presses forward, ball that didn't really deviate too much. What were you trying to say, Bear?
I immediately forgotten what I was going to say. Oh no, this is what I was going to say. But I think England have better resources than the West Indies, so we can probably absorb that better.
Injuries. Forward comes Roach. He's hit on the pad. Dominic Bess likes it. He turns to the umpire. The umpire is unimpressed.
I mean, Bear, West Indies have got a squad of 25 players here.
Yeah, they've got a squad of 25 players, and no doubt some of them are talented. We've got a squad of equally the same size, but we have 10. Sorry, not 10.
Flat delivery, that round arm delivery that Dominic Bess brings out every now and again. It springs off the front pad of Roach as he tries to defend.
Sorry, Henry, are you saying that England's number, say, 12 to 25 are better?
Well, no, I'm saying our bowling resources. I think our available bowling resources are better in terms of we still got Anderson on the sidelines. We've got Joffa to come back. We've got Wood to come back.
I think selection's going to be very interesting on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Shamar Holder is very, very talented bowler. He's in reserve. Raymond Reefer, great in English conditions.
Oh, now he's come round the wicket, and Roach has swung that into the onside. Quite a good shot, really. I think it's gone for 4. West Indies 198 for 9.
Yeah, but as Mash said earlier in the day, Dave, they haven't played Test cricket.
We'll start somewhere, I suppose.
Well, you got to start somewhere, but the point is, when you start, A, you're going to be nervous, and B, you don't know what it's going to be like at the top table. You know.
Well, you say that, but I think some players just take to it like ducks to water.
No,
really.
they do.
There are some people who have that temperament, and they welcome the challenge. rather than finding it daunting. And if you can find one or two of those, then it's like gold dust, really, isn't it? But Root is going to continue to bowl. Now he's got a flavour for it, having bowled 2 deliveries. Coming in to bowl to Shannon Gabriel, bowls flat filth, which he drives on the back foot up to mid-on. There is no run. I think this is a waste.
This is falling into the Australia trap, Hendo.
Yeah, this
with
is Marcus North, isn't it? 2009. In he comes again, bowls. He beats Gabriel as Gabriel comes forward, and Gabriel thinks, how did I miss that? I can't quite work it out. It was supposed to spin in, and it didn't. Oh, it's rude. I understand. As Knackle was saying, Stokes has finally broken himself. This one turns in and jumps onto the thigh pad of Gabriel, who tries to then get his bat and glove as far away from the ball as possible. There is no run. Settles down again. Come on, Shannon. Come on. Oh, it's turned into him. Hit him on the pad, probably just outside off stump. Bat was alongside pad. I don't think he was really trying to get at the ball there.
Well, then you should appeal.
Shot. Could have done. Root in again, bowls and turns the ball from outside off stump. And Gabriel meets it with the full face of the bat. 15 overs remaining after this over. Would we have another look at Stuart Broad now? Have another look at Chris Wokes perhaps? This one again goes past Gabriel's push forward. No turn from Root, and he was expecting some. It's taken by Butler, and that is the end of the over. 198 for 9. I do believe the Root has bowled a maiden.
He has. It would either be Wokes or Broad, wouldn't it?
An interesting point made, of course, from the green room by Knackle, that the Root Best may be trying to burgle some extra second new ball overs. That is possible. How many overs have we actually?
We're in the last 15, hour, so it's 15 maximum,
15
isn't it?
remaining, yeah.
Minimum overs remaining.
I'm thinking in terms of when we've actually bowled 80 overs with the ball that they've got. They can't use the new ball until that point. How far into the 15 overs is that going to be?
Right. Well, when they next year has a scorecard with the amount of overs.
Or
go to Crick Info.
Yes, indeed. 10 overs left according to the green room. So thank you for that.
So
I think selection is going to be fascinating for this third test. Because what would you do? Do you bring Archer straight back in?
I would.
What do you do with Wood? Because if you don't play Wood, and you've said, and you've gone on record as saying that, or Stuart Broad has revealed, I think it was, that each of the fast bowlers is going to play 4 out of 6 tests. That means that Wood would have to then play the 3 against Pakistan in a row. So I think Wood will come back into the equation on Friday.
Well, I think that's easy to get. I think that's easy to override by just simply saying the wicket doesn't, warrant it. It's not the paciest.
I don't think it would warrant 2 quick bowlers, as we've seen. This new phrase has come out, hasn't it? It's a new ball wicket. I mean, a lot of wickets are new ball wickets.
Well, absolutely.
But these are more so, perhaps, than others. It's curious. We're just having a drink at the moment, so there is a bit of a delay. 198 for 9. 1 wicket required by England. Let's do some tweets.
Yeah, Anna Forsyth, where after that Best wicket said, yes, Dominic Bess, wicket-taking bowler. We've always said it. Indeed, we've been saying it all day. And I just wanted to try this on you, Hendo, because this is typical of the sort of pessimism I think we're going to get in the Caribbean in response to this. Where's it gone? Let's just read this one out. So temporarily lost it. Talking amongst yourself. Apologies. That's.
Where are you up to? I can take over. Have you lost the Twitter feed?
Well, there was one particular one that. Oh, here we go. A long-suffering West Indies fan, and that long-suffering will have returned after the Windies throw away this test. I've often wondered why the West Indies cricket board doesn't just jack it in and let cricket wither and die in the Windies, to which Gorilla Cricket has responded by saying, good Lord, Louis, they won the last test and hold the series trophy.
Yeah, I understand the disappointment, because, as 26 hours ago, this looked to be a massive draw, as Jules referred to it yesterday. And I think most of us felt that way, or a majority of us felt that way. But we didn't think that Broad would produce one of those little spells. And Chris Wokes bowled well last night, and he's bowled well today. And with nothing to chase here today, 312 is probably always going to be out of the equation. It's a difficult situation, and I think they have tried to bat positively when they've had the chance to. We've seen some 2 good innings from the likes of Jermaine Blackwood and Shamar Brooks, so it really isn't all doom and despondency about the West Indies. I think in Shamar Brooks we've got a player we might see for another 4 or 5 years at this level. Anyway, here comes Bess round the wicket now to Kemar Roach. And Roach flicks that in the air.
Oh, what a catch!
Brilliant catch! What a brilliant catch to end the day, to end the Test match, to bring England level. It's none other than Ollie Pope at short leg. He parried it and he took it at full stretch on the second attempt. And he is gleeful. He reveals himself to everyone by taking off his crash helmet. And England have equalled West Indies. They have levelled against the West Indies because that went pretty quick. He reacted, hands knocked it up, and then he had to go full length, one-handed, grasped it in the air. If there's any photographer who has caught that, it'll be a brilliant picture in the paper tomorrow. So it is Dominic Bess who gets his second wicket. Kemar Roach is the man to fall, and England have levelled the series. We go to, where to? Back to Manchester on Friday for the deciding game in this fascinating series. England win by 113 runs. I feel sad for Mash because it was so close yesterday. They were so close to seeing this game out. But England have shown what happens when they lose a first test. They come roaring back. They batted long in the first innings and they batted quickly in the second innings. And Ben Stokes has been the man to lead them. He may not be captain in name. He was for one test, but Root is back. But if he takes his inspiration from Root, he's done a fantastic job today. A rather despondent Jason Holder leads out his troops as they come and fist bump each other. A cracking game of cricket. Shame that we missed a day, but then maybe that's what made this game so great. Bess, who was struggling at one point this afternoon, has come back well right at the end. And Ben Stokes is going off carrying one of the stumps. Unquestionably man of the match. It couldn't go to anyone else in this situation. He says thanks to Rakeem Cornwall, who might get an outing, we hope, on Friday. But a very fine win, chaps, for England in the end.
Yeah, and a hard-fought win as well. That wasn't easy going, man. I mean, they always had the possibility of the new ball, but they were only going to ever get 5 overs with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy bowling out there. It wasn't easy to get the ball to do stuff. After about 20, 25, 30 overs, the ball became really difficult to get wickets with. There's not a lot of pace in the wicket. It's not really turning much. I mean, it'd be interesting if it had been a 5th day wicket late in the afternoon on the 5th day. Would it have broken up significantly anymore? Didn't look like it was going to. So you've got to give them credit. I mean, people were castigating Sibley for going slow at the beginning of the game. Have we taken too much time out of the game with the rain? Well, it turns out no. We got that monster score on the board in the first innings, which basically set up the game for England to have the chance to win it. The West Indies, as Dave said, they may have not gone in thinking we've only got, let's play for the draw. But they were only ever in one position after about halfway through day 2, and England were in command of the match, and it was only the weather that was going to do them in. So I have to say, heads up England, the same way that you have to say well done to the West Indies. They stuck in it in the first game. England have done the job that they needed to get, and actually the series is perfectly set up. West Indies can still draw the last test, retain the series, win the last test, win the series, retain the trophy, and England have got a chance to win the series as well. So all 3 results are still possible, and it's exciting stuff, and only 3 days to go.
A draw would be nice. I've got the draw 1-1 in the series at 12-1 with Betway. Yeah. And of course West Indies would retain the Wisden Trophy if that were the end score. But no, it does set up the last game. Sets it up nicely. Can I just make a few mention a few tweets?
Absolutely, of course you can.
Yeah, Muttley says, "Fat lady is singing. She's writing no more. Thanks for the coverage. Love and sausages." Thank you, Muttley, and thank you for your excellent photography, particularly when it comes to food. Mayank said, "Just as I hit tweet, the match is over. All to play for starting Friday." That's a sentiment, I think, from all of us. We're talking about Stokes maybe playing as a bowler if that's the injury. Mark Thorne says, "Surely Stokes will be missed more for his batting more than his bowling. Really, anyone can do the enforcer role if they practice bounces a bit in the nets. Stokes is currently England's best bat." And Armchair Cricket Podcast says, "Zoom Fazir in quickly." That's you're referring to the Fazir jingle. Shannon is going to be on strike to a spinner right now. I've got a little poem which is out of date, but it's still a nice poem, and I would like to read it. Air of the Dog said, there's a breathless hush in the close tonight. 10 to make and the match to win. A bumping pitch and blinding light. An hour to play and the last man in. And it's not for the sake of a ribboned coat or this selfish hope of the season's play.
Nice.
I think that's absolutely marvellous.
Who was that?
Yeah.
It's from Air of the Dog.
That's nice.
Air of
I
the
like
Dog.
that.
Jolly good. Well, it will be the deciding test on Friday, and we can hardly wait. They're coming thick and fast, these test matches. It's quite hard for us to continue to get up for them in a way. It must be difficult for the players without the crowds to roar them on. But they really aren't showing that at all. I mean, everyone's giving it everything out there, and it's been a good series. I really hope that this doesn't demoralise the West Indies to the point where they fade away in this series, because we've seen that happen before. You've got to look at some key performances out there as well. I mean, Stuart Broad comes back into the team, was going nowhere for 19 overs yesterday, and then suddenly produces a magnificent spell, 3 for 1, and does it again today. I mean, and also think about that first wicket that Stuart Broad got, the little thin edge of John Campbell, which half the team didn't even appeal for. And I think actually when you look at that recording played back, you see that the man appealing the most is Ben Stokes from second slip, and I think that has maybe encouraged Joe Root to go for the review, which turned out to be the correct decision. So even in those circumstances, Ben Stokes proves to be the man who knows everything and can do everything. What do we make of Stuart Broad then? What do we make of what's going to happen on Friday? How will we change this team? Do you then take Wokes back out of this team after a fine performance today? Do you take Curran out of it? He did well in the first innings. It's going to be a really difficult balancing act for Ed Smith and the rest of the selection team, isn't it? Is it not?
Well, it is, and but as Dave rightly said, I think they've probably told them before this that we've got a policy, and it's a rotation policy. And if they have instilled that, knowing they've got 3 tests against Pakistan to follow, I think a lot of them will accept that. It'll be a rotational thing, and they get to have a rest. And I think then you can say, well, the whole team won it. If everyone buys into the idea, then when it comes to the result, you go, well, it wasn't just me and it wasn't just them, and I'd love to play every game, but actually we're a team and it's a tight schedule, and therefore we've decided this, and as a unit we agree with it, and this is a great victory for that kind of policy, I guess.
Dave, what do you feel? What's your gut feeling? Will Archer be called back into this team, do you think, or will they make him sweat and sit out another test?
I think the signs are they're going to bring him back in, but I would have thought that it'd be tempting to sort of say, the breaking of protocol is a serious matter, and you're not just going to walk straight back into the team. There's already this competition for places. But if you think, has Wokes or Curran made an absolutely incontrovertible statement, to say take me instead of Archer, will they want to bring back Mark Wood? I mean, I think it was Knuckle who said his dream lineup was Broad, Anderson and Archer. That would be his ideal 3. Jimmy Anderson on his home ground just sat one out. Can't let Stuart Broad sit another one out, that's for sure.
Well, exactly. These are things got to be taken into account. I mean, Anderson surely has to. I know there's no crowd there, but surely Anderson will want to play one of the Old Trafford tests.
Yeah, I mean, Broad gave a pretty straight down the line, don't rotate me again, guys, message today. He's sort of really putting his stamp on it, wasn't he? And Jimmy will want to be back. So maybe they'll give Droff another game off.
Well, I definitely think if they want to go for the jugular now, they put Broad and Anderson back together as an opening partnership, and then it is only the choice of who's your third teamer. Although if Ben is injured, can only bat, they might decide to go. They might decide that actually, if it's going to be a similar wicket to today, whilst Bess got an important wicket at the end, would it not be handy to have a fourth teamer? I hope that Ben can, might not be able to take up that role, might be able to have a few overs, and therefore you got 5 seamers and him really as a genuine backup, and keep maybe Sammy Curran for the
Pakistan test?
Well, no. I mean, maybe put Archer and Curran in and drop Bess, possibly, if you decide you don't want to spin, and Root can take up any spinning overs. And decide that the pitch isn't really that good for spin. It's not as conducive as we thought it was going to be, and maybe we want to go with the 5 seamers and Root as the backup spinner.
Do you not think that if we are talking about leaving the spinner out, and I think he's muddied the waters by taking those crucial wickets late on, or certainly the wicket of Jason Holder, Dominic Bess, do you not think that Jack Leach deserves an opportunity? But there aren't many left-handers in this West Indies side, so Jack Leach would offer the prospect of taking the ball away from these right-handers, and he's had such a bad winter and early summer, Jack Leach. You know, he really suffered with physical illness. Has he not done enough to deserve an outing, Dave?
I'd like to see Leach play. Yeah, I don't think Bess really cemented his spot in the last 2 tests at all, so I'd like to see Leach brought back. Yeah, I think it's a good call.
And talking to the West Indies, do you see many, or if any, changes for the next match?
Yeah, I do. I do actually think it's the end of the road for the moment for Shea Hope. This run of test matches without any scores, since 2017. You can't just dine off past glories. I sense the patience has now, run out, and it doesn't look like he's going to put a score together. So if he doesn't look like it, then he'll stand down. I think John Campbell, I agree with Mashal, we were talking about this earlier, I think they'll give him the series because he did well in the Caribbean, so he'll keep his place. I think Cornwall has to play. I think you've got to bring him in. The question is at whose expense. It could be a straight swap, Cornwall for Hope. The way Hope's going at the moment, it might not reduce the number of runs that he score. I think Shannon Gabriel will be very surprised to see him. I think he has to take a rest. I'd be tempted to rest Roach as well, but I don't think they will. So Gabriel out. It could be a straight swap for Shamar Holder. Alzari Joseph had a few sort of injury issues in the second innings. So, the thing is, West Indies have got 25 players here. It's ridiculous to restrict themselves to the 15 when they've got so much quality. But in the 15, there's Shamar Holder and Raymond Reefer. One of those two Bajans. Ray Reefer's a real English conditions player and an all-rounder, and give you runs as well, left-arm bowler.
Yeah.
And Shamar Holder, with great things spoken about, people comparing him to a young Curtly Ambrose. I stress that word.
That is an enormous amount of pressure to put on him, isn't it?
Yeah, but he has got incredible control and accuracy, so it'd be interesting to see whether West Indies do just be a bit more adventurous and give, say, one of those guys who's here. I haven't even talked about O'Shane Thomas. It's in the 25.
Of course, yes.
And Josh De Silva, who scored 180 runs without getting out in the warm-up match, but still is not considered to be part of the squad. I think it shows lack of flexibility on West Indies' part. They need to pick from all the players that they've got. No reason. In this test, you felt like they had 2 players on the park in Roach and Gabriel who weren't fully fit at the start of the game. And that's ridiculous when when you're carrying 25, not to be able to put 11 fit players on the park. We know it was back-to-back. And I think they got that wrong, and England got it right with the rotation policy. And Stuart Broad, when he made that outburst and gave that interview to Sky, he had to back it up, didn't he? And he did. And all credit to, he sort of motivated himself in the absence of a crowd. He had to sort of, almost make that speech to himself, and in a sort of Shakespearean way. Then he went out and fulfilled his destiny.
But
you do feel that. Yeah, go on, Bear. So
I was going to say, but the difference here is that this is my point about proven test bowlers. I think the West Indies probably went into this test thinking, okay, so they might have been thinking differently before the end of the first test, but having won the first test, they thought, right, if we can get the result out of this test, we get the trophy. Therefore, is it worth risking it and throwing our strongest team that they think they've got on paper back into this game? Because the strongest team they put out was the strongest one in game 1. And then they thought, if we back that up with a performance in game 2, we retain the trophy, whatever happens in game 3. So they may be free to put whoever they like in game 3 now, because they a little bit blown it, because it doesn't look like Shannon Gabriel's body held together in this, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get out in the park on Friday. And possibly the same with Alzari Joseph. I didn't realise that Roach was injured. He didn't look injured to me.
No, I'm not saying he was injured. I just thought, he was Philo Wallace, I think it was, who said, I was listening to one of the other radio shows, that Kemar Roach was grunting more than Serena Williams. But every ball was an effort ball, as though he wasn't fully fit at the start of the game, or maybe he was tired from the previous game. I mean, Knuckles just sort of mentioned en passant that Roach has taken more wickets than any other seamer, West Indies seamer in this match. So yeah, and his economy rate was always excellent, wasn't it? So less than 2.
He's a wily performer.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm the president of the Kemar Roach fan club, but he wasn't as penetrative, didn't take as many wicket-taking balls in this Test match as he was in the Caribbean, certainly, and even at each year's bowl. I mean, his record at home is much, much better than his record away from home, Hendo. There's like a 10-point difference in his. He thinks me more than that in his bowling average. So he's very, very effective on Caribbean conditions, but slightly less so in England.
Why do you think that is? I mean, you would think that his game is suited to English conditions, wouldn't you?
Just I think of the way he skids onto you in the Caribbean,
because the pitches are quite low, and slower than they used to be.
And he gets that sort of fast movement through the air. But I think that there could be 3 changes we see in that West Indies team potentially. But I hope what you said, I think, hit the nail on the head, Hendo. I'm going to do a few like West Indies media things this evening, and they'll be full of pessimism. It'll be trying to goad me into saying something. They played badly, didn't they? This player played bad. It's all that kind of, and I keep batting it back and saying, actually, Stuart Broad, one player that takes 2 for a game of cricket. It was a good game of cricket, and Stuart Broad put his hand up and changed the course of the game, and just as Ben Stokes had done before that. And it took 2, big performances from 2 players who showed their class, and ultimately rose above the other players on display.
Yeah, I mean the West. No, go on,
Ben.
Well, I was going to say, they nearly got there. They got there within 19 overs. And everyone said it was going to be tough arse. That's what I mean. It wasn't easy to take wickets, and there was a lot of discipline in that middle order. Roston Chase and what's his name?
Roston Chase
Blackwood,
Blackwood and Shamar Brooks.
Yes, Blackwood and Shamar Brooks.
Yeah.
Really, they really applied themselves. And mistakes get made in cricket. You average 30 for a reason, and they both got 50, so that's above their Test average. They battled it out, and eventually, it's a tough mental game batting for that length of time, just trying to keep the ball out all the time, and eventually, occasionally, your brain snaps. And if England being in the hot seat, you can have the fielders where they wanted to, and therefore those balls create problems for you, and the wickets are acquired. That's why it's called a test, isn't it? It's a test.
I'm no mind reader. I'm not even a lip reader. But if I could guess what Jason Holder would be saying in the after-match interview, he'll be saying that it's Test cricket. You have to win every session, and that third session, when they went from 189 for 3, 227 for 4, and suddenly collapse, 6 wickets went down for 45. You'd say that was the bit when West Indies lost their focus, and probably but again you could argue it's great individual performances from Wokes and Broad, rather than pinning it onto serial deficiencies in the West Indies team, as though good, we've lost, we've gone back to our natural state, we can have a good moan again.
I mean that's absolutely right. I mean it's difficult when you're a fan of a team and you feel like you've underperformed, but it's sometimes difficult to see how well the other team has played at certain points of the game. I'm sure if I was a West Indies fan, I would be feeling, that I'd been let down and they failed to do what they should have done from the position they were in yesterday. But we've seen it often with England, and we are distraught. But we sometimes don't think how well the other team has played to put us in that position. So I think, if I was going on your Sports Match programme tonight, I'd be with you, Dave, on that, and say that all is not despondency. We've seen a really lovely innings from Brooks. Blackwood has now got 2 50s in this series. Looks like he's knuckling down and could be good in the future. And as an England, I suppose, follower, I would really relish being able to see Shamar Holder on Friday. I'd love to see him bowl. We've heard a lot about him. We've seen a few clips on YouTube, and also he's been bigged up as this new Curtly Ambrose. So we would love to see someone like that unleashed, and and take part in the next test. We want to see these guys coming through in the West Indies. We want the West Indies to be strong again. And I'm not saying that they're not, they're not weak, but they maybe just struggle to get over the line in certain situations because there's a lack of, they haven't done it enough before. They don't know that they can always do it, and those doubts come in when wickets are falling, I suppose.
Yeah, and these two teams have played now. This is the second reasonably not evenly matched series. You could argue West Indies were considerably far ahead in the Caribbean, and they went one up here. And in fact, 4 out of the last 7 West Indies won before today, so it's now 4 out of 8. So it's a good record, and there's enough positives. You just have to remind people of those sometimes, because I think the general, the sort of the media, not the media bubble, but the sort of, the legacy issue of all these West Indies players having to carry around with them the legacy of the great players that preceded them. It's real. They do get serially knocked. Every young player is used as a pejorative term. It's not used as a term to describe someone with promise or potential. It's used as a pejorative.
Well,
these young players have to learn X, Y, Z.
Well,
I heard that so many times.
This is it. I remember the 90s when we were that problem against the West Indies ourselves, and that whole idea of throwing young players in was poo-pooed. If they were under 24, they couldn't possibly play a test. It was
I think also with regards to some of the criticism that comes out from outside, whether it's on Twitter or on programs back in the Caribbean, we forget, because we sit here and watch a whole test match and we see it unfold in front of us, as does anyone in the media. They see the whole test match. They see it as a holistic thing rather than just bits and bobs of it, or reading a little bit here, seeing a clip there. It's very easy when you're only seeing a partial element of the game to make judgments without really understanding the full concept.
Exactly, and people aren't. It's like yesterday the talk in the Caribbean was West Indies players can't play short pitch bowling. The spell from Stokes and Wokes or whatever, or Broad, has finished off the West Indies. Not actually the case of what I saw. It just dried the runs up. It wasn't wicket after wicket to short pitch balls.
No, and it was a plan that they kept at, and we've talked about that. Any team finds a barrage of short bowling, especially if it's threatening your head more often than not, difficult to deal with. We've seen it from all teams. I mean, you can't. There's no way you can talk of this team as being anything like, in a pace sense, that the West Indies teams of old. But constant short bowling. It deprives you of strokes to play, doesn't it, to a certain extent? It doesn't give you a full range to choose from. So it becomes more and more difficult and more wearing. If you're not scoring runs, even if you're evading those balls, you're not scoring runs, and that scoreboard pressure builds up on you. The fact that you're not taking the game any further forward. I think there is too much, perhaps, criticism. We all tend to get a bit emotional when things aren't going our way. But we're just looking at Ben Stokes being interviewed. 254 runs in this test match, 27.4 overs, 3 wickets and a catch, and of course he chased one of his own deliveries all the way down to long off, and hauled it in, I believe, did he not?
He didn't quite, but it would have been
didn't. I just saw the replay of that and I wasn't sure whether he had.
No, I thought that made it an even more noble gesture, the fact that he didn't save a run through doing it.
Yeah, it does, yeah, absolutely. Yes, he's thrown himself on the fire, really, hasn't he, there? Absolutely. Anyway, we should wrap things up now. I don't know if there are any more tweets going through. If there are, we should say thank you to everyone for listening. But have we got anything more?
Not Fred said the Bears surprisingly lucid for the final session of an England win within a dry July. Mark Zip says Rob Smith, Sam Curran won 13 of his 18 tests. He goes on one comparison. Gatting won 15 out of 79. Okay, interesting. And Peter Lloyd says, I suspect Wokes' playing depends on Stokes' condition. Jason Hiscox, hi Jason, says, like I said, can't criticise the captain if the team win. Peter Lloyd, losing the full day may have helped. If yesterday's play had been Saturday, then England would have battled normally and long in their second. Probably got too many and removed any incentive to chase. Anna Forsyth, thank you. See you Friday all. Thank you, Anna, for your excellent tweets today. And as to all the Twitter community, MJ Noster, cheers Grillers, see you on Friday. Thanks MJ. And Muttley, woof woof. Thanks to all of the Twitterati you've been in, I think, very, very good form. And once again, Bear, well, fantastic masterminding of the technology to enable us all to do this from our biosecure armchairs.
Well, my pleasure. I was going to say, when Hendo was saying, he can't even get in, I was thinking, Hendo, all you got to do is bloody get to your couch, mate. It's not that hard. If you can't even make it there, we're in serious fucking trouble.
Well, I've got to roll out of bed onto the couch. It's quite demanding of a man of my age. Just a couple of little facts, or a little bit from the not press conferences, but the post-match interviews. Holder says he doesn't regret choosing to bowl first. I agree. I don't think he should regret it. The conditions were right for bowling. They bowled pretty well. England really batted long and hard. They ground in their instincts, and they did. They ground it out. I don't think there can be any criticism of that decision to bowl first, because the overhead conditions that day, and even early into the second day, the ball was moving around. It was odd in the fact that it ended up being Roston Chase who took the 5 wickets, because the other bowlers bowled well enough to take wickets at times. Certainly Alzari Joseph, certainly Jason Holder. So I don't think that would be a fair criticism at all, if it's something that you have to bat back tonight, David, on your in your discussion with Sports Max. Tumane, the batsman, got caught on the crease rather than going right forward or right back. He says there may be some argument in that. And a final and important stat is that was Shannon Gabriel's longest duck in Test cricket. Well, on that note, I think we should say thank you to everyone who's been with us. Thank you to everyone who's commentated for us. Please join us. Please go to Hot Mic and sign up there, GC Radio. Keep doing the GPL. GPL there. We nearly forgot about the GPL.
Yeah, no one got anywhere near it. We've gone past 263 and 367. What was it? We had 92, and what did they end up on?
They finished 113 short, so that means they were on 199, does it not?
Yeah, so that's 290 would be...
In the maths. 290 runs in the day. It's been done already for you.
Okay.
Knackle has stepped in and helped us out. Knackle's been doing brilliant work, front of house and back of house as well, as has the Bear. We thank you all for that. Please join us again on Friday morning, 10:50 a.m. Just pray it doesn't rain, because the long-range weather forecast is not great. But just pray it doesn't rain, it doesn't spoil what's becoming a great series. And until Friday morning, it's goodbye from all of us here at Guerrilla Cricket. Please join us again.
Guerrilla Cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla Cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover bound.